Hey, everybody.
Hey, brother.
Hey, Emma.
Hey.
Welcome to Hidden Pearls Podcast, week 14, episode 13. And we had a great show for you today. We're going to talk to CityTeam. We're going to talk to a fan favorite, DJ Jones.
So good.
Him and that barbecue.
Such a great interview.
And thank you so much for listening. This is going to be a fun one, like I said. And now I'm going to kick it over to Papa Bruce with the Coke Corner.
This week, though, for the quote corner, I've got a great quote from James Lawrence. I'll explain who he is in just a second. He said, "Everyone knows what they want, but most people don't know what they are willing to sacrifice in order to get it. It's a choice. It's all a choice." I'll do it one more time. Everyone knows what they want, but most people don't know what they are willing to sacrifice in order to get it. It's a choice. It's all a choice. Again, that's James Lawrence. So James Lawrence, you might remember, is the guy who did 50 triathlons in 50 states in 50 days, back to back to back to back to back. Right. Unbelievable. So now he's an internationally known endurance athlete. But when he started all of this, his first race was a 4-mile fundraiser run that he barely finished. But it was from there that he started his journey, and with a dream and a vision and a belief in himself that he could do it. And when he started, his dream wasn't to do 50 triathlons in 50 states in 50 days. At first, he was just trying to work himself up to a half marathon. And then he wanted to try to do a full marathon when he got that done. And once he did that, he started thinking about triathlons. And so then he did a half triathlon. And after a few of those, he decided to try a full triathlon. And then it kind of took off, and he ended up doing 50, 50, and 50. So as your experiences expand and grow, so do your dreams and goals. And that's what happened with James. So in talking about his journey, though, he tells people, start where you are and be okay with that. I'm going to read that again. Start where you are and be okay with that. But just start. Then just keep showing up and be relentless in what you do. And he says this: consistency in small things over time gets you to what you want. Now, you folks that are regular Hidden Pearl podcast people, you know that we have often cited one of our favorite quotes, that small, consistent steps over time lead to amazing results, something we talk about all the time. Okay, doesn't have to be giant, doesn't have to be life-changing, tiny little ones consistently over time get you to where you want to go. Now, most powerful thing in listening to him was this notion of choice and sacrifice. He says that people think they know what they want, and in a way they do. I mean, they have this vision of it, but when it comes down to making the daily choices and sacrifices required in order to get them to what they say they want, they simply are not willing to do it. They really don't want it, at least not as bad as they say they do, or at least not bad enough to make those kind of choices and sacrifices. And he says he thinks that is all the difference. Not in motivation, not in toughness, not in skill, not in talent, not in any of those kind of things. It is simply and most succinctly about setting a goal, knowing what you want, designing a plan on how to get there, right? The action steps, and then making the choices needed in order to follow that plan. And that's really where it breaks down for most of us. But in each day and in each small way, so that over time you make progress and you eventually get to your goal. So this week, take a look at your goals, and once you decide on where you think you want to go and what you want to do, ask yourself, what are you really willing to sacrifice in order to get there? Because that makes all the difference, because you got to sacrifice something to grow, to learn, to expand, to get somewhere new. You have to. And then each day make the choices needed in order to get there. Small and steady is very fine, but it must be relentless in showing up and working hard. So think about that. Thank you, James Lawrence, for that. All about making choices and sacrifices. Know what you want, but really know whether or not you're willing to make the sacrifice to get it. Thanks very much. Have a great week, and coming back at you later with the Mindful Minute. Action! Hi, Amy. All right, still me. Hi, folks. Bruce Kittle here with the Hidden Pearls podcast, coming at you with the Mindful Minute for week 14, Dallas game, and episode 13. So grateful to be here. I'm glad you guys are here too. So this week for the Mindful Minute, we are again kind of working backwards through the 8 stages of mindfulness. And now we're back to, this is stage 5, the clear vision. So a few weeks ago when I spoke about clear vision before, I spoke about internal and external aspects of this. The first, the clear vision that we develop through the practice of mindfulness and meditation on who we are as individuals, what we want, and who we want to be. That's the whole notion of know thyself so that you can be yourself. That is the internal clarity of the self that mindful awareness can bring to us. This then eventually brings us to the external clarity of vision to see out a little bit more broadly outside the self and over the horizon, to see people more clearly, the situations in life that we are in, and then making some decisions about how to respond to those situations and what to do. All right, so these are all still benefits of the mindful awareness path, and I encourage you to stay with all of that in your own practice as you work through mindfulness in your own meditation. This week, though, I want to suggest that we look at clarity of vision from a little different perspective. That of this notion that the life we think we see and understand is actually an illusion created by our own filters and our belief systems. So we all know the situation where two people can see the exact same series of events, have the exact same kind of what look like the same experiences, but interpret and understand those experiences in completely different ways. Well, why is that? Well, because the two people are very different. They have different life experiences, different life lessons, different education, training, and a different worldview. And all of these things impacts how we see and interpret the world and the people and the events that we encounter. So what do we do with all that? I would just encourage you that we be mindful of the filters that we wear and realize that all of these past experiences about who we are, who we think we are, right, shapes how we see and understand the world and how we interpret people and life events. What we see depends on where we are standing, and what we hear depends on who we are listening to. And those things are all impacted by, again, kind of our worldview and our life experiences and education. So this week, your action step for your mindful minute. This week, pay attention to and try to identify the various filters that you look through and that you use to interpret the world. So for some of us, it's, we've been working on it for a long time. And if that's brand new to you, be gentle with yourself. But again, just take a look and think about, okay, these are my views and my vision and my interpretation. Where's all this stuff coming from? And then try living with maybe just a little less judgment, maybe a little less certainty on your conclusions, and maybe just work at being a little bit more open to asking yourself what other interpretations of all of this might there be. Not that you have to change your mind or your worldview, but simply be open to the existence of other possibilities and trying to understand why someone might see things differently or understand them from a different perspective. Use the clarity of vision of understanding your own filters and your own lenses on how you see and interpret the world to deepen and expand your understanding of the world and the people in it. All right. So have a great mindful week. Keep practicing your meditation, keep breathing, and keep being present as much as possible. All right. Wishing you all the very best. Have a super great week. Cut! All right, now we're live. Okay, go, Emmy.
Good job, everybody. All right, so welcome, everybody. This week, we are grateful to have with us another one of the stellar 2017 draft picks, the one and only DJ Jones. So, DJ, thank you so much for jumping on this show, my guy.
I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, all the way down in Arizona. Okay, so David Oliver, DJ Jones, played college ball at Ole Miss, was drafted by the Niners in the 6th round of the 2017 NFL draft, and he is listed at 6'3", 230 pounds. So let's talk nickname.
Actually, you know what?
Wait.
Sorry, no, that's right. I got interrupted. I got cut. No, you know what? Because
DJ, man, you slim thick, dog.
I was like, I
that.
don't know if that's right.
That's his script.
I didn't even believe it.
DJ, we had Fred last week, and so that's his. And then right when I got to that point, I got a phone call, and then I edited everything else. So if I have it right, I think 6'1"-ish, 6 foot.
6'1", 315.
He sounded about right.
315. Yeah, that's what I thought.
315.
I wish.
Give or take, whatever. It's all good. Yeah. So yeah, I would say solid 6'1" and 3 something. All right.
Okay, so Fred is 6'3", 230 pounds, and DJ, we're saying 6'1", about 315.
Correct.
All right.
With 3 techniques, you never really know what they weigh, right? Are you an A gap or a?
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, just depends on which meal and what time of day. So, all right.
True, true. Okay, so born in Texas, but went to high school in South Carolina. How did you get to South Carolina?
My grandmother, she lived in Greenville, South Carolina, and my dad had a restaurant, and every weekend he would go down to South Carolina back and forth. And my mom was like, "We just need to move down there. She's getting sick." So we moved down there, and she died in '06, and we just stayed. So yeah, that was it.
How many restaurants does your family have now?
None at the moment. He's focusing on getting his sauce in the stores, but we've had a lot over the years.
Oh,
Oh, wait, we got to back up though. We missed the DJ question.
we did. Go for it.
Where's the DJ come from? Because your full name, David Oliver Jones. So what's the DJ? Where did it come from, and when did it start?
I've been asked this question my entire life. I think any DJ, anybody would like, but the DJ stems from just David Jr. Like my dad's been calling me David Jr. my whole life.
Okay.
Well, when I was young, but everybody just started calling me DJ. So if you call me DJ, you don't have to call me my last name. You don't have to. It's just DJ.
Got
So
it.
the DJ Jones is a little repetitive.
Yeah, very. It
That's
was
David
actually on the back of my jersey in college, which was ridiculous. The whole name, DJ Jones, was on the back of my jersey.
DJ Jones
That's
Jr.
awesome.
I would have been mad about that one.
All
That's a
right.
lot. Okay, so ended up at Ole Miss. What was Ole Miss like, and why did you choose it?
Ole Miss was great. I enjoyed my 2 years there. I actually went to East Mississippi Community College for 2 years, and then I chose Ole Miss. But it was great. Great people. Still talk to a lot of people that I graduated with and attended school with. So Ole Miss treated me right. Oxford was a beautiful place.
What was the community college experience like?
Yeah, it was different, man. I had my mind wrapped around what college was, and I stepped on a campus in Scuba, Mississippi, with nobody there, and it was tough for me at first. I didn't know if it was for me. I didn't know if I was gonna make it, but Lord willing, I did, and I'm here today. So.
Yeah, those are they're tough because I've coached college ball and been in and out of that. So I had a bunch of junior colleges on the ranks. I had mostly Kansas, but I've been over to the Southeast a little bit on occasion. So it's just a different vibe and different kind of experience. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and it's hard because everybody they're kind of there for a reason because something didn't quite go right or they didn't get recruited the way they wanted, and so it's a lot of testing and challenges and all that kind of stuff. And even the coaches, some of them are there for a long time, but then there's a lot of movement there too because guys are in and trying to get to somewhere else. So it's a tough spot. So you did a great job there, though. I know that you're ranked really high and performed well for those guys, and Ole Miss was really excited to get you. So great job persevering through that whole piece as part of your journey. So that's a pretty cool deal. So, all right. Because you had some kind of D1 offers come on. You were a highly recruited kid out of high school, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had the pick of the litter, but I wasn't a bad kid. I just didn't enjoy school.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would make me excel beyond college, and it's kind of right. But I got my act right. Once I got to junior college and once I got to Ole Miss, it all unfolded the right way. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a common thing, though. Kids get into that, and school's not fun. And it gets tough and challenging. And then by the time they kind of figured out their last year or so, when they really think they're getting recruited, then sometimes it's too late. Yeah, the GPA is not going to make it. You can't get through the testing and all that stuff. So anyway, well, it's a real testament to your work ethic. And I listened to the video about your sisters talking about your dream to play in the league, and that they never had any doubt about it, despite you had like a roller coaster. And I thought that was pretty cool. They sure have a lot of admiration for you and your tenacity and your vision and your commitment to your trade. So very cool. So, well, we're glad you made it through there. So good stuff. All right, Emmy, keep rolling.
Well, so the first interaction, actually, I think the only interaction that I've had with your dad was at the Niners barbecue a few years ago, and it was fabulous. But so barbecue runs in the family. DJ's father is Big Dave, and he owns a barbecue catering business, which is based around his two sauces, Big Dave's Texas Red and Big Dave's All-American Hawaiian Bold Gold.
Mhm.
Big Dave cooked for over 200 members of the 49ers.
Oh, gold.
I
Yeah,
know those are names.
That's nice.
From players and coaches, staff to along with their significant others and sisters, as the team finished mini camp in 2019. So let's talk sauces.
Mhm.
How are they different, and what do you like best? And what's the process of sauce? I mean, you don't have to take us through sauce making, but like how many different recipes do you have to go through to get your sauce right?
My dad, it is okay. It's a tedious process with the sauce, but as far as my dad goes, he experiments with anything he makes. So whether it's breakfast or anything, dinner, lunch, but with his sauce, it's definitely a lot of different stuff that he puts into one pot. But he'd kill me, then I'd have to come back and kill all y'all.
Right. No, we don't
I
want to
told
know.
you
Oh
anything.
yeah, no.
No,
Family
no
secrets.
details. No details.
Yeah, but man, the differences in the sauce gotta be. I mean, one is the red sauce is just that's the basic red sauce, but he always has his twist to everything, and the yellow sauce is it's kind of my favorite because I love honey mustard, but it's got like a I don't know. See, that's a selling point. You got to try it.
Okay.
You gotta
I did try it. They were
I
great.
can't just tell you about it. Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta try it. Everybody's gotta try it. But I think what he's doing right now with his sauces and just involving all the players and everybody is awesome. And I think his dreams are coming true. I just see him every day. I talk to him. He's happy. He's so that's what I love.
Right.
DJ, man, I'll tell you this: when he came up, I'm not a huge barbecue guy, but I always give it a shot, especially if it's like, I mean, your dad, like I'm not gonna say no to that. But both those sauces just slapped. Holy.
Yeah, man.
And I got just like I said, I'm not the biggest barbecue guy, but when it's good, I'm a huge barbecue guy.
Right.
Yeah. That stuff. So
what I used to do was like mix them. So I wouldn't just eat one. So I just put them all together, stir it up, and I make my own sauce. Yeah,
it's man, shit, dog.
Yeah,
it was
good stuff.
I'm sad we didn't have OTAs this year because we couldn't get it again, and that was just
I've heard that almost every day.
Dude,
almost every day. When's your dad coming back? But
yeah, seriously,
one of these days.
And then DJ, I've seen some pictures of the sauces that's got your picture on it.
Yeah.
You got your photo on the sauce?
Yeah. He's going all out right now. That's what I'm saying. Every day I talk to him, he's happy, man, because this has been his dream to have his sauces in the stores and all across the country, which he's already had. He's experienced that before. He had ribs in the stores, but just having one item in a store that won't be successful for you. So he elevated and he's got sauces which will bring in some money, and then he's adding players to the bottles. So that'll catch your eye just walking down the aisle. So
the sauces of the San Francisco 49ers. So
yeah, man.
You never know.
You never know.
KB's got to be on a bottle.
Got to dancing. Might be the hot sauce. Hot sauce of how you dancing.
So great. Okay, so let's. So I love barbecue. But what's your perfect barbecue plate? Like, what's the meat? What's the sides?
Oh yeah.
What are you feeling? I want to hear what do we got, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with you. Gotta have some ribs. That's barbecue. That's all day. Baked beans. In my house, it's mac and cheese, potato salad, and a roll and some lemonade or sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
Yeah.
Sweet tea, man.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Bruce, what do you got? What's your favorite plate?
My plate, I would be on there. I'm a big a baked bean guy, hardcore. So baked beans for me, and I'm all over the mac and cheese. I'd probably skip the potato salad, not huge for me. On occasion, if there's an option for mashed potatoes, I'm a huge mashed potato guy. So that would be an option for me. And then I love the roll. I need a little bread there to dip and to kind of clean up my plate and do all that. And the only other thing I would occasionally add, I don't mind a little greens with, either like asparagus or, some beans or even a little salad. But the one side I'm used to, at least in Iowa, we often get the short corn on the cob chunk, you know what I mean? As part of the barbecue plate. So that would be kind of all variations. But for me, the core, if I have barbecue, some form of potato, a roll, and a mass of really spicy baked beans, I'm good. So that's my dough. What about you, Georgie?
Oh, wow. I mean, you guys hit on the head. The only thing, like, as long as I need baked beans so I can like dunk the rolls in the baked beans. I need that. I'm always good. If you give me some sweet corn, that's huge for me. Cause that Iowa sweet corn, that just hit different. I'll tell you that much.
I gotta get something then.
Yeah.
I gotta
get my buddies from Iowa to ship me some when it's like in season.
It's so good.
And dude, it's just different. Like, cause they do sweet corn at our facility and it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, it's just not the same. Like when you have good sweet corn, it's crazy how much. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. You just buy like they come into town and they're just on the corner and you buy it fresh right there. It's like pick that day and then you cook it. That's one thing Iowa does really, really well is they do sweet corn like. Yeah.
We might have to do a collab with your dad's sauce and some Iowa sweet corn.
Ooh.
A little Iowa plate.
Yeah.
Little Iowa plate. All right. Well, I got to throw in a baked potato. I love a baked potato with baked beans over it, and then other stuff on top. But potatoes and baked beans, man. Okay. So then, next question about food actually is, what is your favorite meal that your dad or mom makes, and then who is the better cook?
Oh.
Wow.
First and foremost, I'm gonna say Mama is the better cook. But my mom every year for my birthday, since I can remember, my mom would make me fried chicken, her famous potato salad, baked beans once again, and my lemonade. I'm a lemonade guy, but that's my meal.
What's so good about the potato salad, DJ?
You actually got to have my mom's. I heard your dad say he's not too much of a fan of potato salad. You got to try my mom's. It's different. Like you said, that corn hits different. This hits different.
I'm all in. I love trying good food. So,
oh yeah.
I'm good. Hey, DJ, when I watched, they had a video clip of your family. It was kind of their pregame before they were leaving for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, those plates were full. Now, though, they look pretty good stuff there. They had all kinds of stuff.
I ain't 315 for no reason.
I know, man. I know. I can see it. It's all good. Yeah, that was good stuff. All right, cool. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's jump down because, and I remember this because I was at the game when this happened. So you are a romantic, head over heels in love kind of guy. October 7th, 2019, right? And we're kind of over in the corner, where the families are, and we're waiting to see George and all that. And all of a sudden the crowd starts going because they got the big Tron on you and all that kind of stuff. And then there's this big old giant dude kneeling down. And so you proposed to the love of your life, Kayla. All right. And you got engaged there at Levi Stadium. And that was the Monday night game before the Cleveland Browns. And Nick Bosa got to wave the flag again over his boy Baker, but that's another story. But anyway, so what prompted you about that? Congratulations on that. And tell us, when did you tied the knot and everything's good and you're still head over heels in love?
Still in love. That moment will be legendary forever. I'm picturing it now. I was shaking. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right.
But I ain't gonna lie. Solomon Thomas had a big hand in it. We kind of put our heads together, trying to see what we could do, like to make it as genuine and as cool as possible for her. And we came up with the sideline, and just being able to do it in front of her entire family, and my family was there, it was cool. The cameras kind of freaked me out, but it was all good, man. She said yes, so that's all that mattered.
Right. That's pretty cool. And were you guys like, how long you guys been dating? Were you like college sweethearts, or what's the story there?
No, we had been dating for 2 years. 2 years. I mean, my dad always told me if you know she's the one, to make it happen. My dad and mom got married within, I think, weeks of knowing each other, and they're still together. So I took a little longer.
Well,
But yeah.
all right. Well, that's cool. Well, congratulations. That's all good. And any little ones on the way yet, or what's up with that?
Ooh, pump your brakes.
Okay. Just asking.
No, we're planning on it soon to come. We're planning on it for sure.
All right. Well, good. Well, congratulations on that. Very cool. So, all right, Amy, go.
Congratulations. Very romantic. That was such a fun. Yeah, we went back and we're like, we watched somebody get engaged and it was so great. So thank you for doing that in front of us because I loved it. Love. But Bruce, you're quite the romantic as well, though. I mean, you and Jan. Yeah, look at that. I mean, what, you guys, how long did it take for you to get engaged? Like 4 months?
See?
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
See?
Yeah.
Right? And he just, it was a very impulse
When you
question.
know, you know.
When you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There we go. Well, let's talk about getting to know George then. When you know, you know. So both 2017 draft picks and have been at the Niners throughout each other's career. Don't you just love that transition, George? So when and where did you guys meet? Was it love it? Was it love at first sight?
Well, I also remember this. We're going to rookie mini camp is what I think it was. And I board an airplane. The Niners flew us out first class, and it was awesome. I'm sitting in the third row, and then I'm on the plane for about 3 minutes, and then a massive human gets on, sits down in the first row, first class. I'm sitting, I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely, because I think that was my connecting flight. It was like Dallas or something like that, or Denver. And I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely going, like, he's a player. Like, I can't wait. So we go to the flight, we land, we're walking to baggage claim. I walk up and I was like, what's up, man? Like, you on the Niners? Like, just shot in the dark, and just hang out from there, honestly. And he was like, yeah, I'm DJ. I'm from Ole Miss. And I was like, man, this is going to be so much fun. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this, like, DJ, there's not a lot of like massive human beings like you at the University of Iowa, like that are just huge. Yeah. And like, I mean, I got a lot of like the offensive lineman stuff. You got some big guys in there, but I was like, holy, like, and also when you were sitting down, I thought you were like 6'5" at first. This guy, I was like, what am I doing in the NFL? This guy's going to eat my lunch. But then one of my other things that I'll never forget about DJ is that he always reminds me that we're both size 13 shoes. Yeah. Always reminds me that we're the same size.
And I have yet to get a shoe.
Not anything?
I haven't gotten anything from you either, dog.
Hey, bro, look. I'm still getting my 6th round money.
Both mine are sneakerheads, you know. I'm actually I'm wearing some of your favorite shoes right now. The Air Max Travis Scott's.
Oh yeah, you're a problem.
Those are some nice shoes.
Yeah, you're a problem. Yeah.
Huh. Not a single pair, DJ.
Not one, you know. And it's been 4 years. I've told him it's been 4 years. And he every day I walk in the locker room and his box is stacked up yay high. And I'm, hey George, can I get a pair? Yeah, I'll get you next week. Just get brushed off. It's okay.
Dude, bullshit. I never next week. Don't throw that out there, man.
In front of his parent, his dad, and his sister. I'm texting Matt. We're gonna text Matt.
We're gonna get working on that.
Love.
Show it the love.
All right, DJ, you recall the airplane story and all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, then let's see. So how about do you have a favorite George story that you can kind of share?
A favorite George story. Let me see. I think my George story would be just seeing his success. Just seeing where he started. I mean, seeing it like that being the first person I saw being a Niner, and just watching them take over the league, honestly, I couldn't be more proud of a guy that I didn't know at first, but I can call him my brother now, and I'm proud of you, bro. I think you're the best tight end in the league, and it ain't no question about it. So just keep going, man.
I appreciate that, DJ. But I got another DJ story for you.
Oh, let's go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so this is was it Sunday Night Football against the Seahawks last year? Was that when they played us at home? They beat us at home.
Yes.
Okay, but so I'm sitting up in the box because I have a knee injury, and it was pretty early on in the game. I was watching line of scrimmage. I'm watching because I usually when I watch football, I watch tight ends is what I usually watch, whether it's offense, whether we're on offense or defense, and all I see is the center 5 yards in the backfield on top of Russell Wilson. And I was like, what just happened? And I was assuming most 49ers fans remember this play. And the replay comes up, and DJ got off the ball like this, picked up the center, and just dumped him in Russell Wilson's lap, 5 yards in the backfield. And I was just like, because you had a baller. I know you got a high ankle sprain in that game, I'm pretty sure. But, like, the start of that game was just unreal. And he chased down Russell Wilson outside the pocket on another play. Man, I was losing my mind up there because it was just a force. And it was just I really appreciate good line play, whether it's offense or defense. It's so much fun to watch.
Appreciate that.
Gosh.
Well, very cool. All right. How about this, DJ? How about what's a secret or superpower? Secret
What's
talent?
up, boy?
Oh,
What up,
there's
cousin?
Trent Taylor sneaking in on the side. All right, T. Let's see. DJ, what's a secret talent or superpower that you have that people might not know about?
Secret talent. I'm a music lover. I love music. I indulge in it. I make it, create it, and I'm still creating. I write every day. I write music every day. If it comes in my head, I write it down. So
you do lyrics with music or lyrics?
Oh yes, sir. Hopefully later on in my career, I'll make something of it for real. But right now, I'm just stacking. I've got one song out right now, but
is it on Spotify?
It is on Spotify. It is on Apple Music. And yeah.
I'm about to listen to that on my drive home, dog.
Yeah, do that.
And then what, you sing then, and then do you play an instrument, or what do you do?
I grew up in the church playing drums.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was a deacon. I was over there on the drums. Yeah.
Percussion, man.
Yes, sir.
So do you actually do live stuff, or do you have like a MIDI controller, or what do you use? Like, what do you make beats with?
I'm on Pro Tools. You know Pro Tools? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I record on Pro Tools. I'm not into making beats yet, but that's something I do want to do. But sooner or later, I'll definitely get into that because it's tough nowadays trying to find the right beat and the right melody. So I'll definitely get into that too.
So for my birthday, I got a and it's called a Kai, but it's the mini.
I know what that is.
You know what I mean? Right. So it's the mini keyboard, and it's got like the little
keyboard,
pads. It's the best. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
use it all. I love it. But it's kind of that thing where, like I write like journal all the time, and sometimes it comes out as poetry or whatever. But I feel like recently it's been more musical, and with all the alone time with COVID, I just got so much more into music than I ever have before. And I've like finally got to that point where I was like, what would it be like if I just started making my own stuff?
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. It's
we all got that in us. I mean, some people just don't want to tap into it. Some people don't want to let their emotions out.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. You just letting your inside, just let it speak for yourself.
Yeah. No, it's
cool.
hey, maybe I'll get you on a track someday.
Yeah.
Hey, come on with it.
So, Amy, make sure we do a link in the show notes to the Spotify.
I will.
We'll help promote, so that'd be good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool, man. Well, good luck with that. So I can't wait to hear some more. So I can just see it right now. It's like I got your dad over here doing all the barbecue and the whole food thing over there. We got DJ Jones and whatever the band thing going over here. And then we got a big old picnic going. That we'll be rolling.
Yes,
That'd be good
sir.
stuff. I hope that'll be
It's gonna be a
post-COVID.
raging picnic, Bruce.
We can do that next year. So
Some would
okay,
call that a music festival.
that'd be really good. Okay, DJ, let me ask you this. So one of the things, so in sports, who's one of your favorite sports characters for whatever reason?
Warren Sapp.
And why is that? Just fellow
Easy.
D-line?
Yeah, and I think he's one of the most dominant forces to ever play the game.
Yeah.
One of the most feared on the defensive line in the interior.
Okay. All right. And let me blend this. And maybe that's, and I don't know if you've met him or whatever, but so, and I totally agree with you. Like he was one of the heroes, like when I was growing up, because I played both ways in high school and then I was an O-line in college, but you know, he was certainly he was the class of the D-line for years. What are some traits that you've noticed either with Niners or other people that you consider to be great players? Like what are some common traits amongst great players that you've experienced? What makes people rise above?
I think the will to win. Like, for instance, when I watch George, when he catches the ball, he don't want to get tackled, and that's the will to win. I mean, you want to be better than your opponent. And Warren Sapp, his energy was crazy. It was through the roof. To be his size and to have the speed that he had was phenomenal. But yeah, I think just having that heart is what sets you apart.
Okay. Well, then let me, so the other thing, so Em and I, we run something called Thunderbird Performance, and then we work on what we call mindful awareness and performance. So it's kind of the mental aspect. So just in that, so can you talk to us a little bit about kind of your mental prep, kind of high school and college, and then, you know, what did you do to, you know, and we always think about kind of practice, training, and games. They're kind of different scenarios, but still you got to be mentally ready to get the most out of it. And so high school, college, what was your kind of mental prep thing? And then what are you doing now in the NFL? And I mean, what have you found that is like really key for you to be in the right space mentally to play at the best for you?
To be completely honest with you, in high school, college, it was kind of like you're gifted. You're better than the person across from you. I feel like if you're in the NFL now, either you worked for it or you were just better than the person across from you. And I mean, I think that was me with a lot of other people. I didn't put too much time into being great, but this is just being honest. But
yeah,
being in the league now, what I would tell my younger self is visualization. I mean, just me visualizing going out there and sacking a Russell Wilson or stopping the run and winning a game that's key. That's something big. So just to be able to put yourself in position to be where you want to be before the event happens is huge.
Okay. So do you have like a weekly or a daily kind of thing that you actually do? Do you have a routine for
That's
visual?
film.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
so watch film and then you get to know your opponent, what they do, both quarterback and offense. And then you visualize yourself at some point being successful against either that player and or making big plays.
Yes, sir.
Do you do something kind of with your eyes closed and meditate kind of thing? You do any of that kind of stuff?
Sometimes I dream about the games.
Yeah.
I think about it so much. I'll dream about what's going to happen. So I just take that with me as motivation. So.
All right. Well, very cool. All right. Yeah, we're always just looking. It's kind of interesting just how, because everybody does certain things and that they find are successful. And I think at the level that you guys are playing at, it's really important that most people are more intentional about their kind of mental prep and how they approach that part of the game. So good. George, you want to jump in on anything there?
Well, I will say just like when you do have like that night before the game or like, I don't know, Friday night, and you do dream about the game and you can visualize it that way, that's really fun. Now, like dreaming about football when you're in the middle of training camp, that's not nearly as fun.
That is not, you know.
No, you wake up more tired and you feel like you just went through a full practice. But when it's like a Friday, Saturday, and like you can visualize, like even if it's like some crazy stuff, like DJ, like you're getting double teamed, you pancake two guys force fumble, pick the ball up, score a touchdown. But like,
Those are my dreams all the time.
If you don't visualize like that, then you'll never make that play. Right. I mean, like I've thought, like when I do visualization, I think of like, what's the craziest possible thing that I could do in the game? Like cut block a guy, get up, catch a screen pass, break 5 tackles, score an 80-yard touchdown. I'm still waiting on it. But I'm still going to visualize it every Saturday night. Like, but I agree. Like when you have those cool football dreams right before the game, that's so fun. It's just a blast.
All right. Well, very cool. All right, guys. Thank you. All right, Emmy, you rolling with the next one?
Yes. So one of the things, DJ, that we like to talk about is the fashion of football. So usually a little game day swag. Walk us through, and if you want to show us anything. Oh, George has got his shoe out. George always likes to show us shoes. So yes. George, you want to show us your shoe right now?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, how are you doing? George Kittle here. These are the shoes that I'm currently wearing on my feet right now because I'm in a car. These are some Travis Scott Air Maxes. DJ, these. I'm a huge fan of these. I like all.
What size are those, George?
12 and a half. DJ wouldn't fit.
The lies.
Yeah, I know. These are 13s, but I like all the Travis Scott shoes because I think they're so unique that you kind of wear them with whatever you want, and they've just got their own swagger that you don't really need to do anything else with. That's why I like them. And these are really nice shoes. These are super comfy.
Yeah, real comfortable.
Okay.
All right. Well, DJ, walk us through your game day fashion. What's it look like?
You know, I'm a t-shirt, jeans, and a nice pair of shoes type of guy. I might throw on a suit. I threw on a suit for the Super Bowl last year, but that was my only pop out. So I think nice t-shirt, some jeans, maybe put my jewelry on, and I'm good. Some shades.
And for shoes, when you say nice shoes, you're not going tennis, you're going something with along more of a dress line. So
oh no, I'm talking tennis shoes.
Do you have some with you? Do you have a pair with you that you want to show us?
What do you got in the room? Maybe just give us a little.
Go.
Just a sneak preview. Attention.
I actually do.
Oh.
Excellent. All right.
Shout out to my guy, Jan Krieger's.
Ooh.
These are some country boy Geigers.
Yeah.
And then just some Jordans.
Okay.
Oh, I see. I can get those. DJ, you want to trade shoes?
Huh?
I got some. I'll trade you for those. I know.
I can't hear you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, it's my connection. I'm in a car.
Yeah, I know.
Those are great. Those are great.
Yeah, just some nice shoes.
Cool. All right, I like it. And then pop the suit on the Super Bowl. And what'd you go with on the suit then? Just so we get a feel for your suit action.
Man, crazy thing is, I got it customized the week of. She's gonna kill me for not knowing her name on the spot. But the suit lady for the team, Kobe died on the way to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I had a Kobe Bryant customized suit. Had like a 24 with a snake wrapped around it on the jacket pocket. And it's pretty cool. But
I remember that.
I'll find a picture. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll post it. That'd be great. Okay.
I mean, also fashion though. Your wife is very fashionable. I remember her Super Bowl outfit. Like,
she is so fine.
Yeah, she looks great.
She look good every time she step out. If she got to go to the grocery store, she's dressing up.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that.
So that made me step up mine too. So
that's good. It does, isn't that right? Yeah, kind of like pulls you up.
Look presentable at all times.
Right.
That's what her mother taught her. So she stuck to it.
That's pretty cool. So okay.
Love that. All right, let's do some football, guys.
Well, okay. So neither one of you guys are playing. So I guess just in general, you guys are in Arizona now. It's week 2. So just how's that transition going? Any updates that you guys can share about that? I mean, it seemed, we don't talk too much about last week. Obviously, the Bills didn't come out the way we were looking for, and I don't know if that had to do with the COVID thing or the transition or what. But So are we feeling a little bit more settled, or how's week 2 in the prep for coming up for Washington?
I think the guys are definitely more settled in. We've got a routine down. Fun fact, it rained in Arizona yesterday, and it was the first time it's rained
down.
200 days it's been since it's last rained, and it was a complete torrential downpour. But so that was interesting. Niners come to town, baby. We bring the rain, I guess. But no, we're on to Washington.
The drip sauce. You bring the drip
The
sauce.
drip sauce.
But we're looking forward to it because obviously this is a must-win game for us at this point. And the guys understand that, and the guys are excited to get another opportunity to play because I know not everyone. Everyone wants to get a dub, and I love that about our team is no matter what type of roller coaster year it is, who's in, who's out, win or lose, we show up on Monday and we're ready to go. And I know the guys have been ready to go this week, and the coach has been happy with practice. And I'm just looking forward to watching the guys perform on Sunday.
Cool. All right.
Me too, because I'll actually be there.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so DJ, just looking at this year, because it's been a different year for everybody in so many different ways, and obviously for playing football. So, as you've journeyed through this year, and I know you've been hurt a little bit and all that. Kind of, are there any takeaway lessons that you've kind of learned, about all the different distractions and COVID and now this transition and all that kind of stuff, or just kind of big picture stuff as you're thinking about that. So just wondered about that. And then, from your end on the defensive side, any thoughts about what's the defense focus this week? And if and I know you're not, not playing this week, so if you don't, that's okay too. Just about, how do we regroup from the Bills and get ready for Washington then? And any overall big lessons about just dealing with all this stuff?
Lessons. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, I tested positive for COVID. And tell you the truth, it hit me pretty hard. I ain't gonna lie. And we're all superstars in a lot of people's eyes, and we're not exempt from COVID. We're not exempt from anything else. So I was laying in my bed and I was just like, man, for this to hit me like this, anybody older than me, anybody with underlying issues, it could take them out. So for all the people out there, take this seriously. Wear your mask if you have to leave. If you don't, just stay home. But we were blessed for my lady to not have it. She tested negative, but with COVID, I'm done with COVID. I am over it.
Yeah, I think you said that's for everybody. So yeah, our house got hit with it too. We had it back in March. Emma did, I did, and our wife, Jen.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. It ain't fun at all.
No, it rocked me pretty good. I'm still kind of, it's my body's.
Can you smell?
Yeah, I got all that back. I got smell and taste back, but it's like my joints and it's just different.
Yeah, I still can't smell.
Oh man, so that's pretty tough. So, well then, what about?
And the last thing I want to say I just want to add something is, I feel like as somebody who had it very seriously and it took I probably had 4 months of just weird symptoms happening to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It did not go away. And then I've had a lot of other friends who have gotten it and who tested positive, and they're like, oh, it just felt like a head cold and it felt like this and blah, blah, blah. And I was out, I couldn't get out of bed for 10 days. And then I haven't talked about this on the show, but half of my hair fell out. And I have my hair is an identity to me. Half of my hair fell out, and it was coming out in chunks. And so I went through this whole vitamin, figuring this out, mineral stuff, but that is terrifying to me. And I feel like people, when they don't wear a mask or they're not thinking about it, it's I do not wish COVID on anybody.
Me either.
On anybody. But it's hard for me when people are like, oh, I had it and it's not a big deal. I'm like, okay.
Well, take it from me. Yeah, take it from me. It was just, I feel you. I feel your pain.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, what's the Kyle Shanahan message this week? What's the drumbeat?
I feel like it's the same as any other week. Be who you are. Do your job and be who you are. We're missing a lot of pieces, but I mean, this is a team. I think this is one of the best teams that doesn't have every piece. I mean, we can win without a lot of pieces. I mean, we don't have George. We don't have our starting quarterback. It's a lot of missing pieces, a lot of injuries, man. But we still find a way to score and get off on third down. You don't find that on a lot of teams. A lot of teams give in when stuff happens, tragedies happen. So just a praise to the team for that.
Yeah, there's a mental toughness there that's been revealed, and I know they haven't played every week like they've wanted to, and it's been tough. But like you said, when you're missing a bunch of pieces, there's only so much you can do in a certain way. But that spirit of kind of fighting and staying in the battle has seemed to be there. So we'll see if we can't get that. So, well, okay, so team's still getting there. Shanahan says, "Lock it in, boys. Let's go. There ain't nobody feeling sorry for us. We got to pick our own shit up and get rolling. So let's do it." Washington comes in at 5-7. They're on a 3-game win streak. They've now won 4 out of the last 6. The last 3 they beat Cincinnati, Dallas, and the Steelers, who were previously undefeated. And so only losses in there. They lost to the Giants and the Lions, which is kind of out there. So playing good. They got Alex Smith back. So his story's great. Comeback of the year, no doubt. And interesting side fact, they were ranked right behind the Niners in yak yards. So I was going to ask you about that, but I know you're not playing, but they're ranked 6th overall in the NFL and 3rd in the NFC, right behind the Niners. So they do a really good job of that, about 18 yards on yak per catch or run. So that's pretty good stuff. So, well, then DJ, just kind of last, I know you're still kind of hovering around. Who on defense is playing good? And not that everybody's not. I just mean anybody you want to kind of toss out. People love to hear about kind of success stories. So anybody that's surprised you or, that's kind of risen up that maybe we didn't look for?
There's so many names. I can go from Jason Verrett,
Yeah.
All Pro Fred. And then, I mean, in my room, I'm looking at a guy, Kevin Givens, he's got something that not many D linemen have. He's got torque, he's got speed, strength, all combined. Congratulations to him, actually. He just had a baby yesterday.
Cool.
He won't be able to play Sunday, but man, when he's on the field, he's just he's a force, and that's what I love about him.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, just kudos out there. So I know we're thinking about everybody, and I know it's tough week to week and all that kind of stuff. So, George, anything else about team vibe or anything you want to add?
I just like I'm a huge fan of Kerry Hyder. To give him a shout out. I mean, he's a guy that, because he was a free agent when we picked him up, when I first saw him, because I didn't really meet him because we didn't have OTAs, and just in training camp, I wasn't, I was like, all right, can't wait to see this guy play, because we played him when he was on Detroit a little bit. There's a fire truck. We're okay. But then he just continued to make play after play after play, and that was throughout training camp. And then it was the first game of the season, the second, the third, the fourth, and continuously he just makes plays, and he has an engine that doesn't stop. And I love that about Kerry. And it's just fun to see a guy like that play, who he can play as many snaps as you need to play, and he's going to give you 100% of his effort on every single play. And he's going to be gassed at the end of it, but he's going to give you 100% the next play. And it's fun to, when you're on a team with guys like that just can operate, at that level for that long. It's really fun to see. And then, I always got to give shout outs to my tight ends, because I think I missed like 6 games or 7 games, and Ross Dwelly has been active for every single game this entire year, him and Charlie Warner. And I think they've done such a great job. And I'm excited to watch him play this Sunday, because tight ends are going to be very much needed, because Washington has a fantastic D-line, and it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Okay. Well, any thoughts on keys to win based on what you do know? And I know you're not prepping for the game, so
I'd say offensively, what we have to do is, like I said, their defense is on their D-line, and they got Chase Young, who was the second overall draft pick, or he's an absolute monster, and he's incredible. They got Sweat on the other side, and then their 2 D tackles, though, are very good at penetrating. And what we specialize is running football, and if you have penetrating defensive tackles and a penetrating defensive line that gets 2-3 yards in the backfield, you can't run the football. And so we have to control the line of scrimmage, hit them before they hit us, and it's got to be a physical game. Last year we had the Mud Bowl, which was an absolute blast, and hopefully it's not raining inside Arizona Stadium this game, but hopefully it's going to be a physical game, and it's going to be some old school football, and I can't wait to watch it.
Okay. DJ, anything else?
Yeah, I'll speak for the defense. Defensively, like Salah says every week, we just got to control the controllables, and we got to tackle. As a veteran quarterback, he's smart, so we just got to do what we got to do. I think we have a great defense, regardless of what our roster says, depth chart wise, and yeah, man, we just gotta make plays. They got some nice athletes, so when they get the ball in open space, we just gotta tackle well, get turnovers.
Tackle, get turnovers, run the ball, and don't give up any turnovers. So we'll see if we can get her done. So, okay, well then let's switch. So we're kind of transitioning out. So DJ, part of it, we talked about our podcast about we're focusing on sharing the stories of the folks impacted by social and environmental injustice. And so we've tried to do that week in and week out. And I know we like to talk a little bit with our guests about kind of the role of kind of service or giving back or community and all that kind of stuff. So, and I've got some of the stuff that you've been doing in the NFL, but I just wonder, like, when you were growing up with your family and or at Ole Miss, like, what was that like for you there? Did you have any stuff going on, or did you guys participate in anything, or was anything part of your family tradition, anything like that?
As far as homelessness goes?
Well, or just, just reaching out, being in the community. I mean, I'm guessing your dad probably fed a bunch of people.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I just wondering, like, what was growing up, what was your kind of experience with, giving back to people who needed help?
Oh, yeah. I think my dad instilled it into myself and my sisters early that giving back is more important than receiving. So, I mean, as far as I can remember, every Christmas, Thanksgiving, we were giving back, and I continue to do so. Yeah, I think my parents did a great job of raising some kids and making them realize that everything is more important. Nothing is more important than someone else. You'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'll survive. But I think taking care of other people is more important than being selfish and thinking of you first.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And just thinking about barbecue, I got to tell you this story. So back in Iowa, right, we weren't there when it happened, but they had one of those kind of sideways hurricane winds, go through a big town up there called Cedar Rapids.
Derecho?
Yeah, they had like 120-mile winds, and it just ripped the town apart. I mean, no power for weeks and weeks. And they really had a problem with fuel distribution because they couldn't even drive the roads because so many trees were down and power lines and nobody had power. But there's this guy, and he's a long time, and he just had this little truck, and it's a barbecue shack truck, and they estimate that he fed over 500,000 people in the first month. And he actually, and then people were like trying, and he would not take any money. Yeah. And I don't know how he did it. I don't know what happened, but my man was like, he would show up, and he just had this little truck, and he would get there in the mornings. He would feed breakfast to people. He had like a barbecue egg thing. He'd leave for 2 hours and come back, and he would just go wherever. He'd call in, and they'd tell him, here's the hardest hit places. He was everywhere that whole time, and it was unbelievable. And I don't know, but I don't know if that just comes with cooking barbecue, loving your community, but it kind of goes hand in hand. It's like the process of barbecue is different. You know what I mean? If people understand that, and it's like the love relationship between a guy who cooks or a woman who cooks barbecue, right? It's a process. It's not like you just don't flip it on and go. You got
to put your heart into it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a heart and soul thing, and that's and my man, and he really just his energy by itself, his single-handed kind of work lifted the spirits of that community. Do you know what I mean? Just because like people would see his truck pull over the hill, in park, and people just stop there and they just like cruise over, and it was just like so bizarre. But anyway, I just a shout out to barbecue guys everywhere and women, because he really changed. I mean, he made a big difference in that community, and it was really cool that way. So, all right, so let's just talk. So I just pulled some of this stuff off. So in the NFL, you've been very active, as are the Niners. I mean, the Yorks and everybody's very big on that. So I got you down. You're in Convoy of Hope, right? So back in 2018, you guys worked on that. Had 1,500 guests in Bay Area nonprofits and schools, and over at Levi Stadium. When you guys were out in Youngstown last year. You guys did the community blitz, and I think you went to the Akron Children's Hospital. Hung out
Yeah, we
with
went.
kids.
Had a blast, yeah.
Did you go that
Yeah.
one? Yeah, okay. So that one's pretty cool. And then you also participated in the Crucial Catch fashion show. I saw you modeling online there. So that was pretty cool, which is an outreach for cancer patients, which they call the Cancer Warriors, sponsored by Levi's and folks with breast, colon, and pediatric cancer. So little kids as well. So anyway, so I know you've been super active and that you care a lot about the community and you're thinking about other people. So I just want to give a shout out to that. And I really appreciate kind of, I don't know, witness or whatever you want to call it. So that role model, those really cool. So our charity focus this week is CityTeam, which is right out of the Bay Area, really popular. And I know you guys know them. I'm just going to read, and they're going to get an interview here in just a minute. But they're about restoring lives and rebuilding communities through innovative programs. And so they do shelter, they do addiction recovery, they feed families, they've got a hot meal program, they take groceries out to families, all that kind of stuff. So back in 2018, you did a My Cause, My Cleats for CityTeam. So I saw a picture of the cleats. So we'll try and include that. So can you just tell me a little bit about how'd you get hooked up with CityTeam? What do you know about them, and how they get to be the cause for your cleats?
CityTeam, I mean, homelessness has always been, it's always been a part of me. It's just something I've seen. I think everybody's seen their entire lives. It just depends on if you engage into it and if you care. But that's my weakness, man. If I see somebody homeless, I give you the shirt off my back. I believe CityTeam, I believe my wife reached out to CityTeam, and all the engagement was through her. And last year we went, was it Christmas? Then we went Christmas. Sherm had dropped off a lot of clothes and shoes. We went in, fed. Was it a group of guys? I believe. I think it was a recovering addicts, I believe.
Yeah.
And man, they were excited. The season was going well. Everybody was happy. But CityTeam's doing a great job. We passed out clothes, and just to see the smiles on their faces for the day was a good feeling.
Okay. Well, and so just in talking about kind of homelessness, and that's a passion for you. So on our show, we've had some very powerful people talking to us about some of the issues that we're facing in the world today. So a week ago, we did 100 Black Men out of the Bay Area, which is kind of a mentoring group for junior high school. It focuses on education and mentoring and just getting people a good startup and all that. And we really got into issues around kind of the unique challenges faced by Black youth, minority youth, but Black particularly youth and that. And so I just wonder kind of what was your experience growing up and what have you seen? And I'll just tag this on. And so obviously we're in a different era with the NFL now with, the Breonna Taylor and NFL making a stand on racism and all that. So can you talk to us a little bit about your experience with that and then kind of what you're seeing kind of socially out there and then what you think of the NFL program right now?
Yeah, my personal experiences, I haven't dealt with it too much. I grew up an athlete, and I feel like we're protected. So to be completely honest, I feel like if you're an athlete and you're growing up, I'm not saying that no athlete has ever been judged or had wrongdoing, but I feel like we're protected, man, by either our communities or the police or our families. So, but I saw a lot. I did see a lot of racism. Grew up in the South, so the South ain't perfect. Ain't nowhere perfect, but the South does need to repent. But went to junior college in Mississippi. Went to school in Mississippi, and my first real experience was actually insane. One day I was in class. I was in night class, and I walked out of class, and the KKK was on our campus, and that alone opened my eyes so much. It was a peaceful rally on their behalf, but at the same time, I knew what their backstory was, I was knowledgeable of what they had done in the past.
Yeah.
And just to see that happening, and nobody from no police officers were kicking them off campus. Nothing. I mean, that put rage into my heart. I was highly upset, and I was actually a part of the group of guys to petition to get the Confederate flag off of the campus. It took forever, but they finally got it done this year. Shout out to the state of Mississippi for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think I was protected throughout my life. And I want to say thank you to my parents and the people around me for that. Because who knows, man, if I wasn't an athlete, maybe I wouldn't be here right now on this earth. Because the circumstances that we deal with day in and day out, it's sad because maybe just because of the color of your skin, maybe you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I mean, it happens to everybody, but I believe it does happen more to us because of just past. I don't know, man. It's a touchy subject there, ain't it?
I know it is. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. I just want to see. I know. I hope it happens. I'd love to see peace. But it's crazy, man. This 2020 by itself, the events that have happened in 2020 are baffling, man. It's just sad, to be honest. I'm a man, man. I've shed a tear for the Breonna Taylors. The way she went out, that's sad, man. And she hasn't gotten justice yet.
Right.
But I ain't gonna talk y'all too much more. But
no, I appreciate that. You don't have to explain the whole thing. I mean, I know. I appreciate you sharing that. And then what do you just? So the NFL is really it's totally opposite of the way it was about 4 years ago or whenever Cap came out. Instead of poo-pooing it and pushing it under the rug, NFL seems to have embraced it. The Players Coalition, and all that kind of stuff. So, how do you feel about that response? And I guess if you had a suggestion, if you have one, and again, you're not called on to fix it. I'm not trying to put that on you, but I guess I'll just throw a quote out that I've been working with. I heard it in a podcast a few days ago, but it's from Desmond Tutu, and he said, people that work on pulling people out of the river, save them from drowning. After you pulled out, a whole bunch of folks, eventually you got to walk upstream and figure out why they're getting pushed in.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And very true. So it kind of feels like, I certainly appreciate folks in the front lines helping people in the survival mode and all that. But I think another group of us and all of us have a responsibility we're looking back upstream now and we're saying, well, why are these people getting pushed in? Why are they in the river?
Deep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's the responsibility. And for each of us, I think it's a different answer maybe about what our role is and going upstream. But like, if enough of us start walking upstream and we tell people stop pushing people in the damn river, that's at some point that's what has to happen, I think. And so I don't know. So anything on the NFL or that whole piece or any suggestions or something like that. And again, I'm not trying to put it on you. You're not. I mean, like a lot of us, we got to do our own work. You know what I mean? And so I'm all good for that. But any thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, I'll just speak on my role. To be honest, I feel like my role is to lead by example. I'm a man of God. I'm a God-fearing man, and I think honestly, all this stuff that's going on is the devil's work, and at some point we're all going to be judged, and all I can do is can control what I can control, and if I had the power to, man, I'd make it fair, but I can't, and I think just taking the path that I'm taking, helping the people that I can help. I wish I could help every person in every state, every country, but I can't do that. So I mean, just be you. Conflict is one situation could be deeper than you ever thought it could be. It could turn somebody's day upside down. I tell my people all the time, don't call me with somebody else's drama or this, that, or other, because you don't know how my day's going. My day could be going perfectly fine, but you just call me with something else, and you just flip the script on me. So I mean, it's just little things to help the world, man. I wish I could help everybody. I wish I could. I wish everybody had my mentality. Had a lot of people's mentalities, but it's a cutthroat world, man. And every day somebody's getting done wrong, and I mean, it's unstoppable. It's some stuff you can't stop. So that's my piece.
You're good. So how about last thing then? I'll just ask you. So what's something that gives you hope?
Something that gives me hope, man, is what we're doing right now. Exactly what we're doing right now. Hundreds of years ago, I mean, us four couldn't even be having a conversation. So I mean, just to be sitting here with y'all, man, it's a blessing.
All right. Well, DJ, I just want to say thank you, and we've always appreciated, you being in the class with George and all your work and your play and all that. So we wish you a very speedy recovery. Wish the best to your family.
Sure.
And congrats on the wedding. I'm glad you're so in love. It's so fun to be in love. I think that's a great thing. And so we wish you the very best. So stay safe and speedy recovery. And then George, I don't want to cut you out. Any closing thoughts on your end you want to finish up with?
Other than just thank you to DJ for sharing. It's just every time I have the opportunity to listen, I try to take advantage of it. So thank you for speaking and allowing me to listen to that. And I think what I would touch on that you asked DJ was about what the NFL, the things that they're doing. And I think it's really cool that, we're already living our dream lives of playing football in the NFL. I'm assuming that was most of the guys' dreams of playing in the NFL. And now the organization that we work for is giving us a platform, to speak. And they're rallying behind that, those words spoken, they're listening, and they're, helping get the word out. And I think it's really cool to be able to work with, an organization that will do that. And I can't say enough about the Niners and, Jed York and how, he's been great, for the last 4 years, my whole career. He's always been, very socially active. And when he does talk to the team, it's with a point. He's addressed, different things before that have, definitely, I've appreciated him speaking on it instead of, just being the billionaire, on the face of the team. He's very into it all. And so just, like I said, being able to be a part of an organization and the NFL that gives us a platform is pretty special.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you to all you guys. And I hope you guys get healthy. I'm looking for special things at Dallas. I'm not going to say anything further, but anyway, we hope that everybody's getting better and all that kind of stuff. So at some point, and hope we can get a win on Sunday with Washington and keep possibilities alive. So that'd be really, really cool. So, all right, Emmy, I've been rambling. So anything you want to toss in here before we sign off?
All good. I guess in hearing you speak and how clear your thoughts are, DJ, I have to say I'm very excited to listen to your music. So thank you. Thank you for being on our show. Thank you for sharing all that. And thank you for being one of our hidden pearls, because I mean, a lot of people have platforms, but not a lot of people use them. And it takes a very special person to see that. To do that. Yeah. We'll get you a shirt. We got you.
Right there. That's you right there.
George, can I please get one of your Nike collaboration shirts? That would be great.
If that's what you want for Christmas, DJ, what size do you need?
I'm a 3X, brother.
3X? Bruce has them in a box in Nashville right now. Bring it with you, Pops.
Please and thank you.
The Joker one?
The Joker shirt.
Okay, as soon as we're done, I'll pull it out. I'm going. All
right.
I'm going to do it.
So size 3X t-shirt and 13 on the feet.
Okay.
All right. I can do
all right, guys. Thank you so much. Good luck this weekend.
Take care. Tell family hi. Love you, man. See you soon. All right.
All right. Bye, guys. welcome everyone. This week, our charity focus is CityTeam out of the Bay Area. And we have joining us their executive director, David Sundman, along with current program intern and program graduate, Rebecca Pro Compton. So I'm going to do David's bio, but thank you guys so much for being here. So David is the executive director of the CityTeam Portland office and a graduate of CityTeam's Oakland Men's Renew program. Before joining CityTeam staff, Dave was a CityTeam client. He struggled with drug abuse from an early age and became homeless as a teenager. He ended up in the Bay Area, severely addicted to heroin and meth. He eventually entered the CityTeam Renew program in Oakland, and everything changed. After completing the program in January of 2017, he served as an intern and assisted with case management. After working several years with other charity organizations serving youth, he returned to CityTeam to join the Bay Area Development Team. In 2020, he responded to a calling to lead CityTeam Portland as interim executive director. So welcome, David. Thank you for being on our show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And I have the fine honor and distinction of introducing Rebecca Pro Compton. So thank you, Rebecca. After a hard day of work, I'm quite sure. So thank you for joining us. Rebecca is currently an intern with CityTeam and a proud graduate of CityTeam's Women's Renew program. By her early 30s, Rebecca had experienced the worst life could throw her way: addiction, homelessness, and crippling fear. Living outside, she remembers feeling so exposed and not in her right mind. At one point, her children were hungry, homeless, and witnessed their mother taken away in handcuffs. She heard about CityTeam while in jail and decided to give it a try. When she came to the House of Grace, she was asked if she really wanted to change. She responded, telling them that she just didn't want to die. When she saw her freshly made bed where she was staying, she knew she was going to be okay. At CityTeam, she learned new life skills and took advantage of CityTeam at work, where she participated in their trades training program in carpentry and is now in an apprenticeship program. Rebecca is proud to be the first female to take part in and complete the trades training program. Rebecca knows that CityTeam took a chance on her and feels that she will never be able to pay it back. Because of her progress, she's now able to spend time with her 12-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter. Her attitude is 1,000% better. She has control over her life with choices about what she wants to do and how she wants to get there. At CityTeam, people took the time to guide her and assured her that she was going to make it. She sees now that her time with CityTeam saved her from herself. So thank you, Rebecca, for being here and being willing to share your story tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, so just to give us the focus. So Charity Team is a faith-based nonprofit compassionately serving our neighbors experiencing homelessness, poverty, hunger, and addiction. We have locations in San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, Portland, and the Philadelphia area. CityTeam has been serving neighbors in need since 1957, and their mission is to share Christ's unconditional and redemptive love by caring for immediate needs and enabling lasting solutions. And the vision is igniting hope, restoring lives. CityTeam aims to restore lives and rebuild communities through innovative programs which provide food, shelter, clothing, training, and spiritual transformation. Love the spiritual transformation. So we're really excited to get into that tonight. Okay, so David, let's get started with you up in Portland. So how we got here, right? So David, thank you for being here. In addition to sharing the stories of the people served by charitable organizations, Hidden Pearls podcast is also about the people within the organizations who choose to dedicate themselves to helping and serving others. So now you are the executive director of CityTeam Portland, but this journey started over 5 years ago when you first joined CityTeam as a client in the Oakland Men's Renew program. Can you please tell us more about that experience and how you eventually graduated and later became executive director in Portland?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and although I'm up here in Portland, which occurred, just a few months ago, the majority of my experience has been in the Bay Area, and so happy to be representing our Bay Area programs as well. And I think it's important. That's one of the first things I love to tell people, when I tell them that I work for CityTeam, is that that's not where it began. It began as a client. And so, like you already mentioned, struggle with drug addiction from a pretty early age. By the time that I was 18, I was homeless, and my poor mom, who I had lived with, was forced to kick me out and change the locks on the home that I grew up in and install extra locks because I continued to break in. I floated around for a few years before landing in the Bay Area. And before I came to CityTeam, I remember the night before I showed up there, I had been sleeping on a stone bench outside of the Balboa Park BART station in San Francisco. I looked much different than I do now. I was about 120 pounds, skin and bones. I hadn't eaten in a few days. I had long hair. I had scars all over my face from picking. And the night after this, I woke up and I was given the most incredible gift, one that I wish that I could bottle up and hand to anyone who's in that situation. And it's the gift of desperation. I became very desperate to have any other life than the one that I had known. And I had heard about this CityTeam program. And so it was actually my mom who had told me about the program when she had begged me, as she had done so many times, to try to get help. And so we had this family friend who had graduated from the program. And so that was the first place that I thought of. It was the only program that came to mind when I decided that I was going to try to do something different. And so I got on the BART train and I took it out to Concord because I knew that my mom lived in Concord somewhere. I didn't know exactly where. I didn't know what her address was because she had moved and wouldn't tell me her address because she was afraid of me breaking in, as I had done so many times. But I knew she lived somewhere in Concord. And so I got off at the BART station there and I got on a payphone because I had lost everything but the clothes I was wearing. And I made a collect call. And I made this collect call to my mom, and she denied the charges the first time. And so I figured, oh, she thinks I'm in jail. So when it asks for your name, when you made a collect call, I tried the second time. And when it asked for my name, I said, I'm not in jail. And she answered. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I need help. And she said later that it was the first time that she had ever heard me say that I needed help before, because every time before that, it was, I got my own plan. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. And so she agreed to take me to CityTeam. And so I was waiting there in this BART station. And it was early in the morning. People were on their way to work. And I had found this half a cigarette on the ground. And I was asking someone for a lighter. And I remember that people weren't saying no, but they were walking in a big circle around me. They didn't want to come close to me. They didn't want to look me in the eyes or come near me. And so I remember that sense of shame that I felt that's never left me. But then I got picked up and taken to CityTeam there in Oakland. And it's like the exact opposite reaction that people have when you show up in that kind of condition. They walk right up to you. They shake your hand. They look you in the eyes. They ask you what your name is. And they're willing to do anything that they possibly can to help you. And so I entered the Renew program, which is our residential program for men and women who struggle with substance abuse. And they showed me a brand new way of life. It's a place where they don't just clean you up a bit. They show you a brand new kind of life, one that's vastly different than the one that I had known before. And so I eventually graduated from that program. I became an intern like Rebecca is now. I eventually went to work for another nonprofit because, when you're in a place like CityTeam, you get to see people living in such a way that it's captivating. You see people who are living life sacrificially, doing things for other people without concern for themselves. And I just wanted to do that. I wanted that to be what my life was about. And so since then, I've always worked in similar kinds of organizations, but I always stayed connected with CityTeam. And I was helping out as a volunteer even after I was an intern so often that the executive director in Oakland said, you're here so often, do you want a job? And so I started to work there and became a full-time employee and a development director. And earlier this year, our CEO, Glenn Peterson, asked if I would come to join our Portland team. And so that's what brought me here.
Well, very cool. So I just wanted to check in. So David, thanks for sharing that story. I guess, the one thing about it is, so like my background is also a criminal defense lawyer, and I've worked with a lot of both heroin and meth addicts in kind of combos. Meth particularly is a really, really difficult drug to overcome. That's a high density relapse kind of place. And so I guess I wonder, one is, could you just say a little bit more about, you talked about being desperate at some point, and, you know, and people had no doubt offered you opportunity and said, hey, let's try this and do all that. And like you said, you were kind of a little full of yourself and thought you had it figured out and was going to be okay. And at some point there's this realization. So I don't know what that was. And then what particularly about CityTeam, you know, helped, and particularly I'm thinking about the addiction with meth, you know. So, and again, we don't have to go into like a huge deal, but I just wondered about those 2 points for your story, particularly, you know, what was the desperation, like final straw that said, yeah, I'm going to call my mom and try this. And then what was really the linchpin that got you over the meth addiction?
Yeah, well, great questions, especially the first one. And, you know, it's one that has been asked to me so many times, especially because, you know, at opportunities that I've had to share my story, say in churches or, you know, in corporate offices or what have you, anywhere in public that I've gotten to talk about CityTeam and what we do, it always seems that there is someone who will come up to me afterwards and ask that question because they know someone who's in that situation. They have a family member, they have a friend, someone who they love and care about. And they want to know, what is the secret for someone to finally make that decision? And I wish I had a good answer for it. I truly believe it's grace. I believe it's undeserved favor. That I even had the thought to make that decision. But, you know, what was going through my head was that I had this great fear, this kind of anxiety that came over me, that I felt like death was close, that I had already lost everything, and that I felt like pretty quickly I was going to die, and I had to make a decision. I was at this jumping off place where either I could just let that happen because maybe that was a welcome solution to what I was going through, or try to do something different. Because, you know, when you're in that situation, you can't imagine life continuing to live that way, and you can't imagine any other kind of life because it's the only one that you know. And so I decided that I didn't want to die, but that I felt that perhaps going to a program like CityTeam was going to be the difference. And, you know, I had been in many different treatment programs before I came to CityTeam. And what I felt like was different was the spiritual component, because I had been in all kinds of medical facilities, those kinds of things. I had been getting sent to those since I was a teenager. But, you know, I had also been in 12-step meetings oftentimes where people would talk about God. And I had considered myself an atheist. And when I heard that word, or when I heard those kinds of things, I was always, you know, very averse to them. I gave it kind of a wholesale no thank you once that came into the picture. And so I had this kind of realization that maybe all those people were right. Maybe there was a God, and maybe this was not the same God that I had in my mind, you know, because I had you know, kind of a skewed view of who God was and what it meant to have been created by God. And so what I came to learn was that God, in fact, was very loving and kind and merciful, and wanted to save us from ourselves, like Rebecca said. And so I would say that that's the biggest difference from anything that I had experienced before, was the spiritual component. And I feel like for anyone who's in that situation, they truly need an act of providence. They need an act of God's grace in order to escape it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, because I think that's a really powerful story. And I think that's really common in the stories that I've heard and the people that I've worked with, that there's something beyond themselves that gives them the linchpin to kind of pull themselves up and do some more work with. So, okay. So let me see. Talked about, so, and I just, you know, I watched the video that you did. There's a little 6-7 minute thing. So parts of it and that. So it sounds like you got things patched back up with your parents, certainly your mom. And so that's pretty good. I also heard a couple rap songs that you did. So when are you releasing a new album? And then can you tell us just a little bit about what you do as an executive director? What is all that about?
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So things have been patched up with my parents. In fact, you know, in 2017, after I graduated from the program, my parents had split up when I was pretty young, but eventually they have since both gotten remarried. And when my mom was engaged to be married in 2017, she actually asked me to officiate her wedding. And there were people there, friends of hers who had kids who were my age. And I remember when we were in high school, they would call her and say, you know, our son can't hang out with your son. You need to call us right away if you see our kids over at your house. And these same people were there, and they saw me. And my mom told me that after the wedding that they were saying things like, "Is that David? We can't believe it. It's a miracle." Right. And then last year, my dad actually asked me to officiate his wedding as well. And so I don't know how many people can say they've married their parents, but I can say that now. And so that was a really special experience to get to have that with them. And yes, it's correct. I am also a rapper. I've released one album in 2018. And that's available at a website for another nonprofit that I serve with called Divine Kingdom. And you can check out the album at divinekingdom.org. The E is a 3, DIVIN 3 kingdom.org. And there's an album there. I haven't been working on any music recently because CityTeam has been my main focus these days. But definitely something that I love to do, and that I think that God has given me the opportunity to use for his glory in many ways. And then your final question, what do I do as executive director? Well, the way that I see it, my role as a leader here in Portland is that I get to be a lead servant. I think that that's the example that Jesus gave us, is that one who leads is one who serves. And so here, I try to, by example and by equipping our team here, so that we can serve more people and create a deeper impact, and to offer more kinds of services and programs than we ever have before here in Portland. And so I think that's the most important thing, is I lead through serving, and that I make that the goal for myself.
So I have a question on that. So you said, like, when you came into the program, you were atheist, or just pretty, I mean, not anti, but you just didn't believe it, you didn't feel it. And so because obviously things don't just happen overnight. So, and you started working with CityTeam for, like, it's been 5 years now. So I'm curious of, like, the timeline from when you were kind of like introduced to faith, and what was your process of, like, letting it come into your life? Like, how were you pretty resistant the entire time? Was it just kind of something that felt like really natural and at home? Or I guess, because I think a lot of times when we're like, okay, we're going to change our lives, right? There are a lot of things that come into your life that people are like, you should do this, or like people tell you what to do. And then obviously, like, with a faith-based organization, they're not telling you what to do, but there is this whole other side of it where it's like, okay, if you're ready to go deep, like, we're here to go deep. What was that process for you to start to get to know God and Jesus, and how has that kind of played out in your life?
It's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And, CityTeam is a Christian organization. And I think it's important that people know that anyone is welcome to come to us for help. And we invite everyone to partner with us in our mission. And I can share just from my own personal experience that I feel like that was something that made the difference, that CityTeam was not a program where things were getting shoved down your throat. It was not a place where you felt some kind of pressure that if you didn't say the right things or do the right things that you weren't being accepted there. They simply lay out a kit of spiritual tools, and like you said, if you choose to use them, then they will walk alongside you through that process. And so for me personally, when I came there, I had become desperate enough. I was beaten into submission such that I was willing to listen to other people for the first time. I was willing to do things in a different kind of way. And at CityTeam, we go through 12-step recovery, and that provides spiritual structure where we surrender and we say, I can't fix myself. We believe that there is a higher power, or a God who can fix us. And then we do some things that we believe that God would want us to do, and God works through those things, and our lives change radically. from a Christian perspective, I had never read the Bible before. I didn't know what it actually said. I had heard things about it, and I had preconceived notions about what it said and what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. But when I came to actually read it, I found that that was not the case. I found that Jesus was someone who was very different than the image that I had in my mind. And what it came down to was I had to take personal responsibility. That I learned that the reason why I had experienced so many consequences in my life was because I had basically gone against what God would want us to do, which is to treat other people rightly and to do things that are good in His eyes. And that's what we would call sin. And so I found out that I was a sinner, and then I found out that there was a Savior. That being a Christian wasn't about being the best person. It's not about trying to make yourself look good on the outside. It's not about acting like you're better than other people, all the kinds of things that I had in my mind that actually come to find out that we're all broken, that everyone has hurts, everyone has issues in their life. And Jesus invites us to come and cast our burden on Him. That He says, give it to me. I want it. He wants us to bring it to the feet of the cross, and that Jesus was someone who lived the perfect life that we can't live. And He gave Himself as a sacrifice for us so that we wouldn't have to pay the penalty for the things that we've done. And so that if we trust in Him, rather than trusting in ourselves, that we're forgiven for everything that we've done, we receive this gift of everlasting life. And not only that, in the right here and now, we were given the opportunity to live a new kind of life. And so that's what I found, is that once I finally trusted in Him, that all of a sudden everything started to change. And like you said, it wasn't overnight. I had a lot of really negative behaviors, and that's the case for everyone who comes to us, that there are people who need a lot of grace. They need a lot of patience, but CityTeam provides that environment on an ongoing basis for someone to go through that and walk through those things and walk through all of the hurts and the things in our past that we have. And we come to this other side where we're a new person, that we've been given a new life because Jesus offers that for us.
I feel like sometimes, I have to be totally honest, sometimes I am resistant to hearing those things. In just like, I've had different experiences with churches and whatever, but I think it is so powerful, like, to hear you talk about it, because I'm like, man, tell it to me. Like, let's go. Like, this is great. And just how you embody all of it, I think it's really, really special. And CityTeam is very lucky to have you. So, okay. So I am very curious. I'm totally going off script, Bruce, but we're just going with it. So as a yoga practitioner, I like to think about, there are different tools to spirituality, right? And so I think it completely translates to whatever type of spirituality or religion that you're actually thinking about, but there are different tools, right? So for me, like yoga, the physical practice of it is a tool for me, and it helps to get me in my body so that I can get out of my head, right? And so like breath work or journaling, or sometimes like meditation or mantra or prayer, or singing or something like that. And whatever it is, like, it helps me to kind of clear those channels so that I can just be in that divine center and I can feel it. And so I'm always curious. And Rebecca, I want to bring you into this too as well. But what practices really spoke to you, or like what tools of transformation really hit home with you as you were starting to come into this faith-based life? So like, was it prayer? Was it reading the Bible? Was it talking to someone like a mentor? Like, what were the type of things that really, like, what hit home for you?
I'll let Rebecca start, since I've been taking up everything so far.
Well, I mean, I kind of meditate too, but I meditate on scripture instead of just on my breath or blank thoughts or trying to be empty. I used to do a lot of meditation and stuff like that too. So, I know what it's about, but I think instead of trying to make a space to be empty, it's like filling it with scripture, because that's the truth. That's God's word, So that's a practice that I still do. And, worship music and making sure that I center myself. I mean, if I don't have my worship and my devotion with God in the morning, the day is it just does not go well, And I don't know if it's because, I wasn't being obedient or whatever that is, but I just know that nothing's right when I'm not centered on God first thing in the morning, so that's what works for me. And I mean, I'd like to say that I have like this crazy faith that just has so much words to explain it, but all I can say really is that like I need God every day, every step of the way, every day. And when I don't do that, it's when I don't turn to him, when I don't ask him, when I find myself trying to do things on my own will or, my way, it's things just, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but it just doesn't go well, so I mean, it's like fervent prayer and fervent love that he gives to me, and that's just all I can say about that, really. I mean, I've had my fair share of like meditation and yoga and that type of stuff too, and I'm not against it, but it just didn't work for me, So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Emma, there's so much that goes into it. And City Team provides so many different resources and opportunities for people. And for me, I would say one thing that was very transformative and that fed me spiritually was that every person who goes through one of our residential programs is a part of the work that we do, whether it's feeding, whether it's clothing people, providing shelter. Our clients are the ones who are participating in offering these services to people who lack stable shelter or in the community, our guests who come to us. And so, you really see people living in this kind of way where whoever you are, no matter what situation, when you come to us for help, and they're treated with dignity, they're treated with respect. And to see people doing that, and people from vastly different kinds of backgrounds, because people who come to City Team for help, we see people who have grown up in poverty or who have been in foster care, those kinds of things, who've been incarcerated. You see people who've once been, executives of companies who've lost everything, especially with addiction. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you think you are. It can take anybody down. And so, but getting to serve and getting opportunities to serve every day was something that gives us purpose. And really, say when you read the Bible and you read about, Jesus serving people, that it becomes real. The words on the page come to life, and so all the things that they were teaching us were things that we were actually doing. But it's also, exercise. We get the opportunity to, to work out and to get back in shape. It's prayer. It's doing inventories, what we would call when we, go through things from our past and confess them to other people. It's working with a spiritual mentor. It's all of those things. And it's really not any one thing, but they all contribute. And what I always say is that City Team provides everything that someone could need to make a complete life transformation, because it's all of those things, both spiritual and mental and emotional and physical, all the way down to, career training that is also a part of it, but it's all essential. It's all a part of the game.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think it's super fascinating, and yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's read the passage that we have in here. So, core beliefs of City Team, are igniting hope and restoring lives, and so sharing Christ's unconditional and redemptive love. And so this passage is Matthew 22:37-39. But it's Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself." So BK, you want to talk about it?
Well, I think we have been, you know what I mean? So I think both of their stories, and we haven't got all the way into Rebecca's, but I mean, just what David has already shared, to me is that's part of the transformational link, is that we come in and you transfer and you surrender the ego and your sense of control over it. Then you hand that off to, in the 12-step process, the higher power and or God. And then they fill the God portion in with Christianity. And this passage, though, is awfully powerful. So as we surrender ourselves and transform the ego and surrender that and follow Jesus at the cross and that redemptive love that you talked about, then it turns where instead of just receiving the gift of grace and this new life that you talk about, now we are servants. And because we know that the model that Jesus gave us, whether it's the Sermon on the Mount, just over and over with Lazarus, I mean, there's stories and stories and stories of Jesus out there, talking about justice, talking about feeding the poor, talking about taking care of people, giving him the shirt off your back, all that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of examples of that. And so the second being equally important is love your neighbors yourself. And really, and I think that, David, I would have to say that, in my lifetime, I'm 61 now. I think that the notion of service in the name of that higher power is one of the most transformative powers. It's a story that I hear over and over and over, because as long as somebody is focused on the self, that's the same ego that gets us in trouble. And then when somebody is able to hand that off and transform that, and all of a sudden now I'm focused on somebody else who needs something, somebody else who, I can be a servant to. And then it just shifts everything. And then suddenly the world has a whole different look to it. I'm engaged, I have relationships, and I'm out of my own head, not thinking about me. And so, and of course that requires, our basic needs are met and we have a good place to live and all that kind of stuff. And if we're maintaining sobriety, but that service component just it just pulls us out of the whole thing in a way that it kind of is really, really transformative. So that's my short little spin on it. And I thought you gave your resuscitation of the redemptive power of the cross and all that was that, spot on and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that. So if either one of you want to add a little bit more to that passage, feel free to. We want to roll into a little bit of some of the programming that you guys are working on, but anything more on that? So that's the quote, the passage that's on the website. So we just grabbed that as a kind of base point for us. So if you want to add anything else, so please feel free to.
Rebecca, did you want to touch on that at all?
On the love the Lord your God, I mean, that's something that was so hard to do for me before because I was so selfish in my addiction, and I couldn't think about how to love anybody. I didn't even love myself. So putting God first, that means putting my own selfish wants and needs, and putting him like first in line before anything. That goes hand in hand with what I was saying about just seeking him in the morning, but also showing it to other people. I do believe that like loving your neighbor, it's basically the same as loving the Lord your God. I don't know. I just feel like being able to love others instead of just like selfishly seeking what I think is best for me. Really what it comes down to is what I think is best for me. There's no reward in that, honestly. And I really do want to agree with you about serving others and how rewarding that can be when it's done from your heart. I really feel like that's so profound in this whole topic and conversation. I don't really have a lot to say about that, but yeah, I'm with it.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I'll just
I was gonna say that. I think that's a lot. That was great.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll just add briefly to that. When we see that the greatest commandment, the greatest law that God could ever give is simply to love him and then to love our neighbor. What we see is those are two sides of the same coin. How we love God is by loving people. That's how we show that we love God. And we see from another story in Luke chapter 10 that Jesus is actually asked a follow-up question to that answer. There's someone who asks, who is my neighbor? And that's a great question. Who is our neighbor that we're supposed to be loving? And then what does it mean to love them? And he answers by sharing a short story, a parable about the Good Samaritan, that there were three people who passed by a man who had been beaten and robbed and was left on the side of the road, left for dead. And there were these three people who passed by him. The first two who walked right by and decided not to help were people who had authority and power in that day and age, someone who probably felt self-important, that they saw someone in need and they walked right by them. And then he says the third one, who is the Samaritan, who in that day and age was someone of very low social status, someone who was not highly regarded, that was the one who stopped, bandaged that man, took care of him, took him to an inn, paid for him to stay there, and told the innkeeper, look, I'll pay as much money as it takes for this person until they're well. And so we see this and we learn that That's what it means to love our neighbor. That one, it's just whoever is there, whoever God puts in front of us who is in need, that's our neighbor. And then what does it mean to love someone? It means to do what is going to produce the greatest benefit in their life. And so for us at City Team, that might mean a hot meal, it might mean clothing, it might mean shelter, or it might be something on a more ongoing basis like we offer in our residential programs. We do whatever it takes to help whoever God brings to us.
Well spoken. Yes. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you guys do then. So, vision to restore lives and rebuild communities through innovative programs which provide food, shelter, clothing, training, and spiritual transformation. So, I think we kind of talked about restoring lives and rebuilding communities. We can kind of talk a little bit more of that, but maybe talk a little bit to us about, and I think you've already said this, it's kind of whoever shows up and says they want help. So there's not really a qualifying, but I'm just thinking about the clients, kind of who you serve and how many folks you serve and how they get linked into the program. How does all that kind of happen?
So, for all of our programs, we kind of group them into two different categories. We provide immediate needs. That's all of the kind of the feeding and groceries and clothing and all of the kind of short-term services. And like we said, those are for anyone who is in need, anyone who comes to us. There's no requirement for them. For anyone who's entering, say, one of our residential programs, we have people come to us from incarceration, in fact, 90% of our clients have been in contact with the criminal justice system at some point. And I know that you've done a lot of reentry work, Bruce, and so you're familiar with what it takes for someone who's coming from that situation. And people come from hospitals, they come from detoxes, they come from homelessness. They're referred to us from all different kinds of places. There's an application process, but there's very few things that would preclude someone from being accepted into one of our programs. They need to say that they need help. They need to say, yes, I'm an addict or an alcoholic. And so they do need to say that is an issue for them. But the only thing that we really can't serve is someone who might have, say, severe mental illness, that they are unable to function and participate in our program. But for most of our clients, they experience some kind of mental, emotional issue and maybe on medication, those kinds of things. And so it's very rare that we have to turn someone away. We are what we would call a grace-based program, that we will always seek to accept someone rather than turn them away.
And so, with that, let me just ask, so do you have any numbers as far as like how many like grocery packages do you guys give out a month, or how about like how many meals do you guys actually serve, and then how many folks are in shelters? I mean, those are three pretty big components for everybody. So how do those numbers look for you guys?
Sure, absolutely. And so City Team operates in 5 different cities, centrally located in the Bay Area. So we're in San Jose, which is our largest grouping of programs, and then San Francisco and Oakland, and then up here in Portland, of course, and then in Chester, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. And so across all of our programs, every year, we serve over 500,000 people. That's including all the different things that we do. We serve between 650 and 700,000 hot meals per year. We serve around 13,500 families with groceries through our community services programs. And we typically have about 500 people participate in our residential recovery programs annually.
All right. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of loving your neighbor. So well done. Okay. Let's see. We talked about stats a little bit, and I think we got into that. How about, and I guess you talk about the family thing. So I guess we're always looking a little bit about some of the barriers that people face and how this stuff impacts families. So that's one. And then how were operations affected this year with COVID? What happened with that? Because almost everybody else that we've talked to, the demand for their services went up because more people were placed at risk because of loss of employment and other kind of things. And so how did COVID impact you guys? And then what do you see as far as kind of impact on families and communities.
Yeah. So as far as, during this time, of course, there are so many people who are experiencing financial burden in the Bay Area. Now, even pre-COVID, in the Bay Area, there are over 870,000 people who are considered food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. That's the population of San Francisco, just to give some context for how many people that is. And that's how many people are food insecure across the Bay Area. It's much higher than the national average. And so, of course, as a result of COVID, that's only exacerbated. I saw a survey from one of our partners who specifically surveyed immigrant families who have been out of work during the pandemic. And there are families with children, multiple children, who on average have been surviving on $250 a month. And so for our grocery program, that has become even more of a tangible need for folks in our community. And so during this time, we've actually expanded what is called our CityTeam in the Neighborhood program, which is our mobile food pantry program in the Bay Area, and specifically across Santa Clara County. We're actually serving 3 times as many households as we were before COVID started. And so this is an opportunity for us to step up and say, this is what we do. This is a time when we get to show people how much we care about them and how much we're willing to do in order to help them. And so, as far as for the families that we serve, we're definitely seeing more families in need of those kinds of services. For our residential program residents, there's job loss. We're not able to allow people into our facilities, especially now as, lockdown is kind of ramping up. So programs look very different. For our dining halls, we're not able to invite our homeless guests into our building, which is normally a place of community and kinship. Our residential program residents are not able to go out and be a part of a lot of the same community activities that we used to be, or going to church or going to outside 12-step meetings. A lot of it's done through Zoom, but it's still different. They don't have opportunities to see their family in the way that they were able to before. Some of them aren't able to go out and look for work. But we're grateful that they've also, because we're not able to have volunteers at many of our sites, and for a lot of the different programs and services that we offer, our residential clients are actually stepping up and filling in the gaps. And so if they didn't have enough opportunities to serve before, now they have even more. And so they get to be a light for people who are really struggling right now, which is incredible.
Okay. Well, let's do this, because I think you've touched on kind of the core stuff of the programs. Rebecca's been sitting there very patiently, so maybe I'd like to really get over and give her an opportunity. So, Rebecca, I appreciate you very much for being here with us today. And so I just, we read your bio just a little bit, but do you mind just sharing with us a little bit about your story and how you eventually became to get hooked up with CityTeam, please?
Yeah, so I actually came to CityTeam through incarceration. I was released to CityTeam after serving a year flat, and it was like the deepest bottom I've ever hit. I've been in and out of recovery for over 10 years, and I brought my kids through it. And it's like when I first started using, it was all fun, and then it was fun with consequences, and then it was just consequences, and I think I had hit bottom so many times, but this last bottom just seemed to be the worst. And I really can't explain it in a way that's like as deep as it was for me, but I can tell you that I had mental health issues, that I was schizoaffective. I would see things, I would hear things, and for me, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that it was the drugs doing it, and I had been having these mental health issues for a while, but it was very subtle. And this last bottom was just like, it was rampant, and I can recall trying to kill myself, trying to throw myself in traffic because my bottom was so deep. And really it was because, my children were taken away from me, and it had been about 4 years, and it started to get really, really dark and hopeless, and so the last time I went out, that's why I say it was my deepest bottom, because I think I had like a mental breakdown. I had went off my psych meds and then I relapsed in place of that. And, you know, that's never a good thing to do. But it took a while. It took about 4 months of like being like in the gutter homeless, you know, to realize that I needed to pick myself up again. Like I said, I've done rehab after rehab. I've been in detox countless times. I've been in a program where, you know, the first thing they did was give me medication, and, you know, and I tapered on and off and on and off different medications. And, you know, that can really mess with your head when you're coming off drugs and being put on medication. So that for me is, I talk about that because now I'm like medication free. I don't take anything, you know, and I never thought that I'd get to that point in my life where I wasn't turning for a pill or a drug, you know, or something to smoke or something to shoot up to make me feel better, you know, or to make me just be able to cope. It wasn't even about feeling better anymore. It was about being able to like cope and function and survive. So that's for me how deep my addiction got. On the other hand, you know, my kids are my motivation. They were the reason why I continued to put myself in detox and continue to pick myself back up. And there was a point when we were separated for, I think it was like 3 months, you know, when they first got taken away from me. And, you know, I could say honestly, I'm fully responsible for why they got taken from me. I know that, you know, and the guilt that came with that just made me want to run even more. So, and you know, when I came to House of Grace, like I said, I had spent a year flat in jail. And when I went to jail, you know, I was just coming out of like that drug coma, and I had um, kind of realized, you know, hey, I'm facing 9 years in prison. You know, what am I going to do with my life? You know, and I remember like crying out to God, like, and I'm in a cell and like I'm crying like loud, you know, and I didn't really care what people thought or anything like that. I just like, please have mercy. Please don't let me miss their life, you know? So, I mean, that was like that point of despair that I hit, just, it gave me like this, I don't know, like he said, the gift of desperation, you know? Like I told him, I told God I will give anything, you know? And before, I've made promises to God before. Oh God, if you give me this, like I promise I'll do this. And then I always don't keep my end of the bargain. And you know, and then I feel like, okay, you know what? I had that coming, you know, when things go bad, right? But when I came to House of Grace, I learned who God was, you know, and that he's not like this, he's gonna smite me, condemning, like, you know, this big scary God in the sky with his finger pointing at me like you're wrong, you know? And I think that that's the image of God I've always had growing up. And I was raised in church from age 9 to like 14, right when I was like hitting my rebel years. And I remember the walk with my mother because my mother was an alcoholic, and, you know, watching her in her addiction and her alcoholism up until I was 9 years old, and then seeing her do like this complete turnaround. I did not understand what was going on, but I knew that I had my mom back. So, you know, I had given my life to Christ actually when I was about 12 years old. And, you know, I went to summer camp, and, you know, I said the little prayer or whatever. I didn't know what I was saying, you know? So I say that to say that, you know, when I hit my bottom and I was able to really, really cry out, like that was when I gave my life to God, you know? House of Grace, you know, like the spiritual component is what helps you, you know? When I was in program before, they were talking about like, oh, your higher power can be a doorknob. Like, I'm sorry, no, I'm not gonna pray to a doorknob, you know? I'm not gonna pray to a statue, a doorknob, a light bulb, the mountain, you know what I mean? So just learning who God is through Jesus, like, was what saved me this time. And instead of thinking of it like, you know, I'm gonna go to hell if I don't do this, it's like, no, I'm choosing to put God first by living this life now. And I mean, you know, they offer a lot of services and a lot of classes. And the first thing I remember that was so profound when I got up the next day after being released from jail was first thing in the morning, I could hear like this worship music blasting from the garage, you know? And I was already up early because I was already on jail time, you know, 4 a.m. So I get up and I'm like, who's down there? So I'm all curious. And I go down there and there was only two girls in there, but they were so deep in worship. And I was just like, wow, I haven't seen this since I was a kid. I'm not sure if I've ever seen this type of worship. And so, of course, I sat in there and I just kind of twiddled my thumbs and was just watching them. And I was thinking, is this what it really is to like just let go and like be able to worship God? I've always had this like something that stopped me from verbalizing my prayers, or something that stopped me from singing to God. There was always like this, I don't know, it always felt like a muzzle on my mouth when it came to like me wanting to talk to God out loud or wanting to sing to God. And in that moment, like something clicked and I realized that I wasn't going to be bound forever, you know? And then right after that was like our morning devotion. And that was hectic for me too, because it was, I don't recall what the scripture was, but just the whole new process. And then that day, the first day, right? Everybody stood up, and a prayer that I had been saying in jail my whole year, you know, they put on the armor of God. And I just like, you know what? I was in so much shock because I was like, dude, I've been doing this prayer for like a year in jail. And like now it's here. And like, how did they know? Did they know? Did God do this? Like, what are the chances? So I just thought it was like fate. Anyways, that's a little bit of my excitement. But despite all that, we had a lot of classes like anger management and DBS, and we would have outside people come in, like parenting and stuff like that. And I just stuck with it. There were times when it was hard, to sit in the room for hours all day long and just like work on yourself. And like, I don't want to look at me. Like, I don't want to look at myself. I don't want to look in the mirror and see who I am and what it looks like on paper. And the fourth step, I'll tell you, is just like, man, I really needed a lot of grace then. And the staff was really, really helpful when it came to like just showing me compassion when I hated myself so much. So it really,
Rebecca,
it didn't just,
tell people what the fourth step is.
okay, the fourth step is like doing your moral inventory of yourself. So basically, it starts with writing down everyone you ever met, and then writing down like the people that you have resentments towards. And then you work through the resentment. And when you get to the end, you realize that basically it was me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, I see why it went this way, because basically it is on me. I mean, that's what I came to most of the time. There was like one or two resentments that are like, okay, what was my part? My part was holding on to the resentment, something is like when I was like 4 or whatever. But for the most part, a lot of my inventory came right back to, well, I added to it. And you know what? I was probably the cause of the problem. It's really important in recovery to do that, because if you can't see your blind spots. Other people can see it, they could tell you, and most of the time you don't want to hear it. But when you have to write it out yourself on paper and come to that conclusion, it just like sets you free. And that was really hard to do. But towards the end of the program, I was able to, sit down and let other women read their fourth step to me, just like I once did to somebody else. And that, I swear, you know what, that was like my favorite thing to do. I was tired, I was working, but when someone came to me and said, can I read you my fourth step? I would always drop everything to do that, because I know what benefits them when they're set free in that way. And, not to mention, I've been seeing them go through it for like 3 months because they don't want to do their fourth step. So you're like, just relax, like you're going to be free now. Anyway, that was kind of rabbit trail, but
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story, and just from start to finish, I know that's a really painful place to be, and the combination between the drug and the mental health stuff is really, really complicated. So anyway, just kudos for hanging in there and throwing everything against the wall and finding a way to CityTeam. And thankfully they were there and you kind of took advantage of everything. So I guess the stuff I had just in talking and reading some of your story, I think we already kind of covered that one of the big differences for you this time was about the faith component, and that really gave you a foundation that really made the difference. And so, the one thing I know that you're able to get because you're seeing your kids again, and so you're back in their lives and they're back in your lives, and so that's obviously got to feel great. You're reconciled with them. I know I watched the video, and you talked a little bit about that early on when you were still in the midst of it. At times, you would see, I think what you interpret that as some fear in their eyes and scared because of what was going on with mom, and you were in and out and all that kind of stuff. And at some point through your sobriety and your work, you've seen the fear leave their eyes and that they can trust again. And so I don't know if you want to say anything about that. But I can't imagine as a parent, and you having gone through a bit of that as a youth yourself, and then experiencing it as a parent, and then seeing and feeling, that trust to come back. So can you tell us just a little bit about that whole experience and getting back with your kids and what all that felt like?
Yeah. So when I talk about that, it's like not only the fear of abandonment that they had whenever I would go on another bender or whatever, but mostly like when I was using, I was a completely different person. And I mean, I was that person that you were scared to talk to on the street, or, they got on the bus and everybody kind of moves over. I was that person towards the end, especially. But I think that my children were really scared because they can see past, the facade that you put on. And I mean, my kids know me and I know them. We're deeply connected. So for them to see that I was just like in this different state or whatever, or just like, tweaking in the corner or whatever, I know that they were scared of that, and I would fight a lot. I would fight a lot with my daughter's father and stuff like that. And, when we were fighting, I remember seeing how scared my kids were, you know, and, not really even able to put their needs before my own because I was like in such a different state of mind. And so I think that more than just the disassociation, because I can do that really well, but I was totally like in a dissociated state, sorry for fumbling, and basically unable to like have like the compassion and the empathy that a mother usually has around her children. I was like an empty vessel. And now when I look at my kids, when they look at me, first of all, they know I'm coming back. You know what I mean? They're not like waiting at the door, when I get there, or I'll see them peeking out the window when I drive up. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, when addiction takes a mother from her child, that is something that's like incomprehensible. So now when I'm with my kids or whatever, they just know I'm going to be there. They know that, I'm working really hard for them, and, they're not afraid to come up and hug me. And, we tickle fight and stuff like that still, even though my son's 12. Yes, he tickle fights, but that's the main thing for me, is that they know that they're secure. They know that they're going to get their needs met when they're with me, and that they're my number one goal. And so, but more importantly, that they know that I'm not high. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. So that's a very difficult and another painful journey. So anyway, I just want to affirm your courage and your willingness to stick in there. And, I know too, in the recovery process, it's that guilt that you talked about, like, how could I be a mom and lose my kids and do this to my kids? And then, because the guilt and shame, I think, drives people back into, using again, because they can't face it, and to climb out of that and to stay out of it is so difficult. So anyway, I just want to really, commend you for your just courage and your love for your kids and where you're at right now. So super excited story. Really, thank you for sharing that. So, well, one of the stories I do also want to tell is because you were the first woman to complete the trades training program through CityTeam. At least that's what I understand. And you're working, I believe, in carpentry. So do you want to say just a little bit about the training program there and kind of where your career's going, and what was it like to be the first woman, and how good are you with a saw and a hammer and all that kind of stuff? All right.
That's funny that you would ask. So yeah, so basically, I sat down with I like to call her an employment specialist. I don't know what her title is, right? Miss Claudine. Okay, I sat down with Miss Claudine, and we were having a very realistic conversation about what my future would look like. And I just remember looking at her and being like, dude, I'm a felon. No one's gonna hire me, And I just remember her being like, no, that's not true. Here's a list of, felony friendly places. And I'm like, telling you right now, dude, no one's going to hire me, dude. My felonies are pretty bad, So I didn't have a lot of hope there. And she gave me some time to sit and think about it. And I told her, you know what? I've always kind of wanted to get into construction. And just right then and there, I mean, it was like at the drop of a dime. She was like, you know what? Say no more. I'm going to get you in, you know? And I was just like, really? Like, no, really? And she was just like, yeah, you know? So that really made me feel like there was a lot of hope there. But, she signed me up for the trades orientation program. And I just remember just showing up. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know anything about anything. I just knew that I needed a career so that I could sustain me and my children, and that construction always kind of fascinated me. I remember always walking by job sites and stuff like that and being like, what is that? Whatever. But just the idea that you're part of something bigger and you're able to like actually build stuff with your hands, it's like so dope to me. But anyways, so, I got into the trades orientation program. I did the 6-week boot camp, and it was like 4 times a week, I believe. I don't recall the number of days, but 3 or 4 times a week. And I was taking night classes. And actually, from the very beginning, I had a lot of favor. CityTeam knew that the risk they were taking with me being the first woman to enter. And, I'm just like so grateful for the way that they gave me the chance to like set the pavement for somebody else. You know what I mean? So keeping that in mind and how devoted I am to like getting my kids back and like really reuniting permanently, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to show up no matter how hard it seems. And when I talk about how hard it seems, it's like the math you have to do, right? Because I'm not that smart, especially at math. But, I showed up every night and I made sure that I was on time. I didn't never miss a class. And walking through the trades orientation program, they give you it's basically like an array of every trade that you can get into. So they have guest speakers, and then they take you to like go to the testing, and this place has a test, or this test is coming up next week, or whatever. They help you study for the test. So I took 2 different tests and I failed, like, miserably, basically, you know what I mean? But honestly, I can say that I prayed on that. I prayed and I was like, you know what, God, I know that I can pass these tests if I really, really try, but like, I need you to shut the doors that are not for me and open the door that is for me, And that was really hard to do, to like pick myself up and be like, it's okay. Like, you're not stupid just because you didn't pass that test 3 times, But basically I took the sheet metal test and the pipe trades test, and that didn't work out. But at the end of it all, I was given a referral to another organization from Top that got me into the pre-apprenticeship for carpentry. And that was another 6-week class. And that was actually more hands-on. So the boot camp with trades orientation program isn't really that hands-on. It's all in the classroom. So, and then you do tours and stuff on job sites. But the pre-apprenticeship, they actually give you tools and they take you into the shop and then they show you how to use the tools. And believe me, I was really scared to use that skill saw. I'll tell you right now, you ask me how I am with the skill saw. You know what? I think I work pretty well with the skill saw. Me personally, my opinion of me, I'm all right. I'm not that bad. When I first started, I don't know. It was kind of hazardous, but yeah, when they taught me how to use that skill saw, it was like, I remember being scared and being like, nope, I'm going to do this. No matter what, I'm going to do this. And, I picked up the skill saw was really heavy at first, especially, but, now I use it every day. So, it just goes to show that like, whatever you put your mind to, you can get better at,
Well, yeah, oops, sorry. Well, one, thank you for sharing that. So just so you know, so my last job, we were a criminal defense firm and then we were a labor firm. So like I'm a registered iron worker. So if you're in labor, so the things that we do, you'd either represent them in criminal court cases because they tend to get in trouble a little bit, or we did work comp for them because they get hurt, so that's the kind of thing. So when you talked about being in the trades, I'm pretty familiar with that, but you talk about kind of last vestige of the cowboy, and we talk about hardworking folks. And so there's a lot of, at least in the iron workers, not having a criminal record is not one of the prerequisites for being a great iron worker. So that's not an issue. So Well, kudos for that. So I hope you're through the carpentry thing, and then working out of the apprenticeship, and hopefully that'll land a great career job for you, because the trades can be super terrific for that. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure you're really good with the skill. So I mean, it's something, if you've never done it, it is different. So that's good. Well, let's, so we've been going a little bit, and Em, why don't you talk us through this last part if you want, so our last section is kind of about talking about where the hope is. And you guys have given us a lot of hope already. Both of your stories are just incredible and hope-filled, and we really appreciate that whole kind of piece. And so I guess, Em, if you want to maybe work through that a little bit, and we'll kind of tie it together. But Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's really powerful, and we wish you all blessings as you're going forward with that. So that's great. And David, same for you. Really, really great stuff. And so we're so excited for you guys to be on the show. So let's talk a little bit about some issues and then some hope. So go ahead, Emmy.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. That gave me all the feels. That was amazing. And I think something that just hearing what you said about, I think it's so cool to actually build something with your hands. Bruce, every time we drive by a construction site, or Bruce is feeling a little frustrated about something, he's like, I should have just been in construction so I could just use my hands and see what I build. And then at the end of the day, you step away and you build something, and it's awesome. And I've always thought about that with like Hidden Pearls and this, and our other business is called Thunderbird Performance, but just like, what are we doing to actually build something that I can step back and see? And I think the whole construction, I just think it's fascinating. So I love that you're the first woman to go through it. And I think that's insanely badass. That,
I would have been a bricklayer, brick and mortar for me. I like that, because you don't have to talk to anybody really. You just get your mud, you got your bricks, and you plumb the line, and you just throw the bricks up, and then at the end of the day you leave and there's a wall there. So it's great.
And there's a wall. Okay, so speaking of walls, so what systemic or structural issues have you seen in your work? And this can go to either of you. And then what can we or should we be doing better as a society? Just that big umbrella of a question. So whoever wants to tackle it.
I'll let you go first if you would like, Rebecca.
Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, Bruce, rephrase it.
So I guess, one thing is that so we talk about, both of your stories are, in a way, they're individualistic stories about falling into addiction and your recovery. But, as a society, when we look at it, so that's a prevalent problem. And I mean, David, you talked about the numbers of people who face food scarcity, right? And I guess, and when we think about that, so if you think about the things that CityTeam does, from shelter to the grocery service, helping families put food on the table, and then the hot meals and stuff that they do, and maybe this is, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily CityTeams, because I know you're a front end kind of in the trenches type of organization and you're meeting those needs. But when you're looking around and seeing that, are there bigger picture issues systemically that feed into the situations that that you guys are addressing? And what do you think, are there some remedies that you would suggest as a broader society about how we could do a better job to kind of alleviate some of this need?
I guess I would say, CityTeam provides like a wraparound service. So if there were like more places like CityTeam, I think that this world would be a little bit better. You know what I mean? Just being able to put past like stigma and like what people think about drug addicts, what people think about homelessness, and trying to move past that and just like look that there's like a person there. That's the main thing that I think would improve. I don't know how society could change that, but I guess it's a personal thing,
Something I've been meaning to say is, so last week on our show, we had 100 Black men of the Bay Area, and I'm pulling this quote up because I want to get it right. But the quote that's Josiah Harris, who was on our show, kept saying was, "I am because we are because I am, may the circle be unbroken." And I think that hearing how you guys have tied in so much, like it's about the individual through community and then serving, and I wanted to bring it up because I feel like it's such a reminder that, especially, all the time, but like, especially during a global pandemic and when so many people are struggling, and it's so important to see people and to see them as humans and have that human to human moment instead of seeing them as walking around and being like, man, like you shouldn't do that. Or you know what I mean? Like people put enough shame on themselves as it is. And I think if we can just look at people and just have some grace and some compassion, that it goes such a long way. And even if changing, like exactly what you were saying, Rebecca, about how in the morning, your kind of sanctuary is that time when you connect with God. And I think that something, because as we've been kind of traveling around, I've caught myself in moments where I'm like, I feel either like nervous about a situation or doing something. And I look at it and I'm like, how can I be more compassionate in this situation? How can I see somebody as somebody who might just need a little love and compassion? And I think that that's such a insanely important reminder for people to just see people and see the light, see God, see whatever sort of infinite light that we can connect with other people, and just remember that without all of us, this circle is broken. So connecting it back together. So didn't mean to cut you off, David, if you had something to add to that.
I think you guys both covered it well. I think I'll just tack on the top of that, like you guys already said, if we look at every single person as our neighbor, then it's not someone else's problem. It's not someone else's, responsibility to help. It's every single person's. You don't look to, oh, this, person's going to work on that. We need the government to fix it. And, there are so many wonderful organizations that are tackling these things. It's not just CityTeam. It's not any one organization. No one organization is going to solve any of these issues. But if everyone feels a sense of personal responsibility to do what they can, to utilize their own gifts that they've been given and abilities that they have in order to help other people and to serve, then there's no limit to what we can do.
That's what I was trying to say. Nailed it, my man. You nailed it.
Well, then speaking of that, David, then tell us a little bit about, so if somebody's listening to this and they think, wow, CityTeam is quite the organization, really appreciate what they do. Tell us a little bit more about how people can help and support the mission of CityTeam going forward. What would you recommend that they do? And just a reminder too, when we're done, you guys can send us all the links for social media and donation page and all that kind of stuff. And then the Kingdom one too, for your album. We want to make sure that we get that promoted as well. So I'm sure that'll be a high demand. That'll probably go numbered in top 10 now after on the Hidden Pros podcast. So, but anyways, so we'll send all that. But talk to us a little bit about what you're hopeful about and then how people can help.
Yeah, I think what is so hopeful, and then I hope that people would take from this, is that there is help out there, and that people can change, that redemption is possible, that transformation is possible. No one is beyond the grace of God, and if anyone, wants to, get some additional tear jerking, go watch Rebecca's video on YouTube. You look up CityTeam, Rebecca's story. I've seen it a number of times, but I had to watch it again yesterday, and it brought tears to my eyes because it's just so incredible. And what's amazing about my story and about her story is that although we have, our own unique personal experiences, they're not really unique for CityTeam because we see it happen all the time. We see it happen over and over again in all of our programs. And so that is something that I feel like people can be hopeful about. And as far as what people can do to come alongside us, there's, of course, a number of ways. Pre-COVID and post-COVID, eventually, once we can start to open things back up, there are so many different opportunities for people to come and serve with us. Whether that's, a short-term thing like, coming and serving in our kitchen with our dining hall alongside our clients, where you get to meet them and hear their stories and get to do this work together. Or if people want to offer some more of their time on an ongoing basis, we have our CityTeam at Work program, which is what Rebecca described as our education and career training program. If someone wants to come and help tutor someone or offer some kind of job opportunity, if you're willing to hire someone who has a background, we're always looking for folks who are willing to hire our clients. And a variety of other volunteer opportunities that can be accessed through our website on our volunteer hub page. There's just hundreds of opportunities in each city that we serve. And right now, since we really can't offer people the opportunity to come and volunteer, the best way to support is really by giving financially. We are privately funded, and we know that there are so many different wonderful organizations, but if someone is willing to come alongside us in that way, we are so appreciative. In fact, right now, because we're able to step up and do more during this time, we have a lot of donors who have chosen to step up as well and are encouraging others. And so through the end of the year, we actually have a $250,000 matching campaign, which is incredible. That's huge for us. And it's because we have folks who have stepped up and said, I want to come alongside you guys in this way. And so for anyone who gives through the end of the year, it will be doubled. And we know that George and your family have offered to make a generous contribution. We're so grateful for that. And so that will be matched. And so we thank you for that. And so, so for anyone who is interested in partnering with us in that way, the best place to go is online. You can go to cityteam.org/holiday match.
Well, Rebecca, anything you want to add? So any final words about just City Team or your journeys, all that? And I want to say again, both of you really courageous stories, and commend you for all your work and everything that you're doing. And Rebecca, wish you the very best as you move forward. And someday you'll architect a building probably or something like that. But anyway, we look for all that. So anyway, I do want to say this though, that we worked with mindful awareness and performance. And so when you said something about not being smart at math, we would reframe that you just haven't had a lot of experience and you're working to develop that skill set, which I think you eventually thought that it's not about not being smart enough. It's different kind of studying. And like, just like with law school, right? Some people are great test takers and some people aren't. It doesn't mean you're going to be a good lawyer, you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. So a lot of different ways to learn. So anyway, so wish you the very best with that. And David, all your activities up in Portland, whether you're there or wherever you are, wish you the very best as you go forward. So any final words or other words of hope or encouragement that you'd like to offer as we're rolling into the holiday season?
I'm good over here.
Okay. We've been going a long
Well,
time.
I will say, that we're so grateful for the 49ers as an organization, for all of the ways that they partner with us and for the individual players. There are so many of the players from the 49ers who have helped us in so many different ways. Jimmy G just recently had his mask fundraiser. DJ Jones has been involved with us in all kinds of ways, including, with his barbecue, the restaurant that their family owns. Richard Sherman has done so much with us. And George, in fact, I think in our We Are City Team video, that George can be spotted in it. If you go to our website on our main page, we have a video where I think George is in there. And so we're so grateful for the 49ers. And I actually have to give a shout out to my aunt and uncle, Sharon and Robert Schultz, because they are the biggest 49ers fans that I know. They have a whole room in their house dedicated to 49ers memorabilia. So, hey, Sharon and Robert, I think they'll be excited to see me on here.
Okay. Well, yeah, I did want to mention that. So you guys are partners with the Niners, and so that's a great thing. So we're good with that. So I guess then last question is, you guys being in the Bay Area, are you Niner or Raider fans?
Niners, duh.
Okay, just check it. All right.
What?
Hey.
Yes, go Niners. Yes.
Go Niners. Okay, well, very good. So anyway, so we'll hope all that hope and enthusiasm can bring home a win this weekend, and we'll go for that. So David, Rebecca, thank you very much. Emmy, any last words?
No, thank you guys so much. This was a very powerful episode.
Yeah, really good. So, all right, wish you guys the very best in all that you do. And then David, you'll send us some links for that. And then Rebecca, if there's anything you'd like to add for social media or otherwise, or trades or whatever, send it to us and we'll get the show notes put together and we'll get all that stuff out there. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.
All right, welcome everybody to Ask George. We have George. Super excited. Okay, so I am going to butcher your first name. I'm so sorry, but it's called Kangzin, Kim. Sorry, dude. But Ask George is, hey George, hope you are doing well and staying happy and healthy. Can you explain the intensity of capture the flag on, what is this?
Coagulation
On Halo 2 using football as the analogy.
You done it. Well, first of all, I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for another Halo question, guys. You are incredible.
Way to listen.
It's like you're on the 5-yard line. There's a couple seconds left in the game. You got one play left, and the team does an all-out blitz. Jimmy G has the ball. He's backpedaling, and he throws the ball up. And, under all the fire, under all the pressure, you got to make a play. And there's a lot of pressure. It's a shootout. Every single time you snap the ball is a shootout. And you just got to bring the intensity, because if you're not on top of your game, you're not going to win. Thanks for the question.
Great question. All right. Last question is from Danny Stewart.
Hey, Danny.
Danny and her husband Shane are in Australia. We sent them some cards.
Oh, wow.
All right. So if you could live on any TV show, any reality TV show, which one would it be and why?
Oh, dear. Which reality TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my good heavens. I'm not a big reality TV show guy.
I think I'd be on Below Deck.
Okay.
Would you be on Wags with Claire?
Probably. If I could be on any one, well, one of my favorite reality TV shows, it counts, is River Monsters. That show is so sick, and
That
I
show
watch.
slaps.
It slaps. But huge fan of it. I'd go fishing with Jeremy Wade. Just
absolutely.
call me.
Yeah. All right. So if
Maybe.
anybody knows how to put that together, let us know. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. That was a really fun episode, and we are very thankful to be doing this. Oh no, George, you're frozen.
Hi, I'm back.
Okay, so we're super excited. Down in Arizona together. George, not planning in this weekend, but we're hoping for relatively soon. You're not ruling it out yet for this weekend?
I'm working on it. Try my best, guys.
We'll see. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please go ahead and listen to DJ's music. We have a lot of music in the show notes tonight, so make sure that you're listening to it. Very excited for all of that. And then if you want to help with CityTeam or supporting any of the organizations that we partner with, you can like us, you can share this episode, make sure that you are sending this out, subscribe, give us some comments, because it helps to boost our viewers, which means we get more resources and we get to do more with our show. So thank you guys so much. And with that, bye guys.